Okay, so today I won't even look at like what happened the last game, but basically what happened was we were on a decent streak and then we run into 1825. Nice matchmaking. I don't know if the other person can see that or not, but basically even in that game, I was winning. I had a winning position. I guess I can show it, but it's not like I knew that and I won't take credit for it, but it's one of those like you're almost losing in the opening because he does something so weird. He's out of my prep. So what am I supposed to do? Like, what are you supposed to do there? You're supposed to take the pawn. Yeah, this bishop move kind of was ruinous, but it actually ended up being good for me. It's just, this is like super unclear. Like, I don't care even if you're a 2000 player or something, like whatever this position is, it's like, oh yeah, of course, just take the free piece of the knight. But then there's so many things going on. Like, it's very hard to know that that's safe to do. Like, oh yeah, don't worry about the king being here. Like, I was so focused on just trying to get rid of the bishop. But that is at least a complicated position, so you have to give this guy props. And he hasn't played that many games, but he's clearly pretty good. 1900, or he has played enough there. I have to focus, just give my best effort. If somebody beats me like that, it is what it is. But even then, I had a chance to win because by how busted my position was, he kind of was giving up pieces back to back. He might have given up both knights, but his position looks so scary. Okay. That's not too big of a deal. I mean, anytime it's 1700, it seems like, oh my goodness, that's a big deal, but it's really not because I'm so close to it now. I'm not used to that. Yeah, I don't actually know even here. Like, something as simple as this. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm already stuck because if I bring the bishop, he has no development, so I basically should be able to bring whatever I want. But why not do this? Oh, but then he'll do something weird, like he'll try to take there. I don't know, actually. The goal is to castle as quickly as possible. See, I don't even know this much. You wouldn't want to bring the knight back. You want to make a developing move. If you make this developing move, it's fine. And then I can find a way to bring the bishop away. Because if you don't do that, then he'll target this and it'll be a big problem. But this probably is also a big problem. So the angle's in line with the light square diagonal. I don't know. This is the thing. Opening is just so solved. You just have to know or you don't know, and that's it. I have no idea. Even these simple things, I just never... I guess you just have to look at it once thoroughly, and then you just know. Like, some of these lines I do know. Like the one where you bring the bishop and the knight and the queen, whatever it's called. I don't even know the name of it. But, like, where you keep everything locked in place, but you're not actually taking anything. Yeah, see, this is exactly what I was talking about. Okay. But yeah, I genuinely don't know what you're supposed to do with that. I'll castle queenside. Like, I'm already tilted. They're out of my prep. What do you expect me to do? So stupid, man. As a sign of a bad player, or at least a bad start, to move the queen so early. But now I'm going to bait you. I'm just going to castle the other way, so who cares? Although it'd be hard to even get the queen out of there in this case. You're double attacking that, which I don't necessarily care about. Yeah, see, this is the way to beat me, actually. Just do something weird in the opening. That's all you have to do, and you'll beat me every time. Like, it's just annoying. Not because, oh, I'm such an opening expert, but because I just want it to be over with. And then let's get to something actually that requires some thought. This is just like, yeah, maybe he studied this opening, but it's objectively bad because you don't move the queen this much. Like, okay, he doesn't want me to castle kingside, so I just won't do it. He's really stacking up his things here. So the goal would be to make this really ugly staggered pawn structure and just... Gonna go for this if I do indeed castle, and that's gonna be very hard, if not impossible, to cover. this has nothing to do with them like, oh, being higher rated or something either, because it's a case where, I don't know, like, it's a case where you see this more like in rapid games where they do kind of weird stuff. Otherwise, everybody does like the same thing all the time. We blocked out this diagonal. Now we could still castle kingside maybe somehow, but I don't know how. Or he's overextending so much, so just forget it. There's no real downside to doing this. Then the knight can move. It's only being single attack, so we did address every problem he was posing. I don't like it, but I always make fun of people. Like, imagine queenside castling in a 10-minute game. Imagine doing that. Or in a 30-minute game. And that's part of the reason why I don't even have the dimensions right in my head, like, as to, you know, you would at least have to do something more. But yeah, okay, man, okay. This is what I have to deal with. Just, I'm already mad. Like, come on, man. Get over the most boring part of the game and then let us actually play the game. All you have to do is move the king. I mean, you just have to do it, but you can't because... Or you know what? You could do this. So you stop the threat. Come here, which is like a weird kind of fork thing too. I mean, you want to move either the king or the queen. He's going to come there and fork the rooks. If I go here, then... The problem is you can easily... I don't know. I go here, you take, I take... Something to do with the rook. I'm going to lose the rook somehow. Oh, we've played before too, and I've lost. Wonder how long ago that was. I was 1633. He was 1712. So I've made more progress than he has since then. This guy's hard stuck. He's tilted too. But... yeah, losing in the opening is great, or at least I should commit more time, but... sometimes you just don't want to be part of it, dude. Like, just give me a draw, just move on. This is just... On one hand, they want to be opening theory Andes, like where, oh, everything's, you know, right or wrong answer. Solvable, objectively solvable game. But then on the other hand, they want to do this stuff where they're trying to be all cheeky. So make up your mind, like... It's pointless at this level. Like, just either study every opening and you just know them like a grandmaster, and that's it. That's the game. Win in the opening every time. That gives me the freedom to move it, but that would also allow him to fork pretty freely, so there's nothing really that I can do about that. Although I could offer this up, and then... If I offer this up, then he's inclined to... You can get the fork either way, though, so... You get the fork, that's fine. We have an interesting way of actually dealing with this, if I'm not mistaken. You'd be creating a nice double threat. So he would take, I would take, and then I'm threatening the queen and I'm threatening the rook. So how do you save it from that? That is hilarious. I start off with such a good attitude, but then I get tilted in the opening, like, so easily. He gives up on that. Exactly as planned, but let's see what he has planned next. He gave up the kingside castle completely. Look at that. Look at that defensive ace. You turn a failed attack into... The best offense is a good defense. Look at that, though. We survive it. We get kind of a good castle position. Everything's good. Now we can win. Although he can do whatever weird stuff, too, but... His king is so exposed. Like, look at this. This is transposing what black and white should be doing. I'm playing like, oh, I'm aggressive because I'm queenside castling, but he's attacking like crazy. I'm not attacking at all. You might have to actually take this because I can't figure out how to... You know, he targets it with the queen. I'm just happy that that whole scenario is over with. But, like, yeah, what would stop him from doing this? I guess you have time to think about it, though. There'll be no worse alternative. So let's just do... Let's move the knight in a way that it won't be in the way. This I kind of want to be able to move. Oh, here we go with the knight causing trouble. Gonna get in the way, man. It's just gonna get in the way. I swear, the number of times that happens, too. It's like it has nowhere to go. The pawns don't really do it justice here. I just don't want it in a spot where it's not going to be covered, so just... Oh. Yeah, I'm not doing... I'm obviously just doing it on purpose, like for content and stuff. Yeah, I can't. I'll still play it out, but... Yeah, I think I stopped trying a while ago. I don't know what happened. These last couple weeks have been bad. Like, I was actually making progress, and then I just give up. Either I got bored of it, or I don't know what happened. Yeah, that was a very easily winnable game, and just too bad. Just study openings. I'll just do that next time. I'll do it on ICC. Interesting that he would even allow me to do that, but he's still winning. So this is a 30-minute game, by the way. Top 7,000 players, top 6,000, top 7,000 player in classical playing a 30-minute game. By the way. The tunnel vision on one idea, like, oh, I would have been able to do this if he went there, so then he can't take, so then it's there, but I have to double check. Like, there is some sort of invalidity to it. Like, people will say whatever they say, like, oh, better players, you know, you should do this, you should do that. But when I say what to do and then I don't do it, that's why the experience is not valid yet, right? If I can get to a point where that's no longer working, like what I'm saying to do, then I'll gladly study and do whatever. But so far, it's just like, that's never been the case. If I actually follow the advice of what I'm literally saying as I'm playing the game, I wouldn't win every time, but I would have much, much better results. King is still in a bad spot, but... it's kind of tough. Okay. Do that with the king for some reason. I don't know why, but... it's an interesting move there. So... I don't know what to do about it. You will have to take the pawn, so... Somehow he ends up giving the queen back, which is kind of hilarious, but... nothing you can do with the bishop. You're not going to trap that. My whole idea was to, you know, do that with the unleash, but he's not going to give it to me. You're going to have to just take a pawn out of it. Or you could have tried to maneuver to, like, take 2 pawns, I guess, because if he's there... if he does come in, then take, take, take... or not. Yeah, not only am I not playing them like they're 30-minute games, I'm just not really even playing like I was before. Might be a low standard, but there's something I do that's hard to explain that's actually right. The lonely road to try to do something improvisationally because nobody has a sense of honor but me in this game. It's pointless even, but and see how even after all that, it still sort of worked out because I still somehow get his queen. I still somehow have a chance. Knights ruin the game, but even more so, openings really ruin the game. And don't take that from me, some lowly, oh, you're only 1,200 FIDE, probably, according to, you know, inflation standards. No, take it from Bobby Fischer. Take it from anybody. Like, it's just stupid. If we can equalize these, that's going to be very good. There might be some vague possibility of trapping something, which I don't even see what that could be. This is not a chess test. It's a okay. It's a psychological test just to show. Okay. You only lose 5 for that too, which isn't too bad. So I won't count that one, but let me try to actually focus. It is interesting. I guess you would have to be more familiar with my history of what I used to do to understand. It's not even about ability. It's about, that's the one thing I was known for, was like being able to do things over a long period of time with a certain, you know, like never too high, never too low, like just composure, consistency. Something could go wrong in a permadeath run, you can recover, you can survive it. Which, to be fair, I can't really do that anymore either, which is why, you know, not as good at those either. But it's kind of bizarre to have this, like, where I just need a couple easy matchups, like 7, 14, 21. So if I win 3, it's still enough. That didn't really make much of a difference. Probably take a break in between, but I won't even do that. Actually, that one's not bad. Okay, 1799, but he is provisional. He's 17 here, though, so that's pretty legit. Should still be able to do this, theoretically, but who knows? He'll go like that. Don't play too fast in the opening, but please just do something a little more conventional. So if he does do this, never mind the knight cover. Take. You could pin down and take, which I have no reservation about doing. I like the standard that, like, you should never go in with like a fixed set thing you're trying to do, but if you don't do that, then I would take, he would take, I would take, he would obviously take. You could harass the knight further, which isn't too big of a deal. You're kind of obligated to take this, which is arguably bad because you're giving him too much power in the center from that. But like one of those games that really screwed me over. Like there was a pawn that could connect to the center, and then that ended up being the difference in the game, surprisingly. You could almost try to do the same thing, but let's say I don't want to. Be very hard to maybe get this through. When in doubt, just castle. That should be fine. I don't want that though, so I should have done that first. There's 2 ancillary moves that I always make, like these 2 to let the bishop escape and to let the pin not happen. So you got to find time for them, but normally it's not the optimal move ever to make because of the simple fact that it's not necessary. Like pinning it down isn't bad. You can deal with it, but it's just awkward. And then letting the knight trade for the bishop here and double stacking the pawns is also not bad according to the engine or conventional theory, but it's just not something I like, and presumably it's okay. That's fine. This is kind of tempting just because you're setting up for a lot of different things here, but The likelihood of it working is pretty much 0, so let's do it anyway. Now I'll be tempted to do some weird thing like this. But what would it even do? It's not like it can unleash into a check. Yeah, that's one of those things you have to have the discipline not to do. Like, you know it's not going to work. This guy's going to be too good for that, as most of these people should be. Just a different experience than I thought it'd be. Like, chess was supposed to be like a relaxing recreational game to do in the middle of stuff, but now it's like the most frustrating thing because I'm trying to do it obviously the wrong way, but on purpose, just for now. You should go like this and go like this. He doesn't have a way to counter this particular pawn. This is fine. I don't know what he's doing with that. You might try to do the double diagonal to that effect, but it's kind of hard to do. Can't do the pin, and you've kind of messed up your light square bishop, so this shouldn't be too bad. You can't underestimate him based on that, though, because he's actually good. Like 1765. Could I get 1765 right now in rapid? Maybe. But maybe not. Not like I've really tried to do much in there, and I was saving that for after, but who knows how long this is going to take. It is 100% psychological. Like, and you see that even like with Ding or whatever at a high level. I've had the chance like numerous times, and I just keep choking like right before the end. You have to just not think about how close you are or something. Not like it even matters, but for my purposes, it actually does matter. Now, all you would have to do is displace the knight to make this happen. I don't like being under that pressure. There's nothing you can do immediately to the knight, but I don't know what to do about it. You could like cover and then put something there, but maybe playing like this with the that with the Dark Star Bishop was maybe not the right call in this situation, but red is fairly obvious. So what can he do to push this out? I don't know. I don't know what I can do. You go here, here. He would take, I would take, he would take, I would still take. He's going to try to do that, but how exactly do you do it? It'll take a while. You could unironically go in front of it like there. Or you could do it a little differently, like... Too bad the knight just can never move anywhere productive. Yeah, this would allow you to basically block. So you put it here, he takes. And I'm basically playing them like they're rapid, but at least you have the cushion. It's amazing how much I can preach an idea like, oh, you should take your time and never move too fast in classical, and you should play classical, and it's such a good format, but I can never follow my own advice. It's just a running trope with me. With that, you could either do this, or you could do like... You do like this, but then he just wins. Boy, I don't know. Very hard to do anything with that. You could go like this, then you can't do anything with that, but I still don't see what that does. What was his big goal? He was trying to move that, which this would help him do. Or... That seems kind of like a mistake. He shouldn't have allowed me to do that. Because yes, now you'll be able to move that, but we also can just open up the trade possibility. So there's so many things about this that so many things about this to benefit me to be able to do. You go like this, what can he do? Or you don't even have to do it. Just do this. Done. Now the threat's completely neutralized. We could effectively win a pawn for it too. Yeah, that was good. That was good. Or wait. Whatever. You could basically open the king with this. Interesting choice. What if we do like this? Because then he has to take, otherwise... He has to take, otherwise I take the other thing. The rook. Or basically I take it for free. So then this should basically also lead to me winning the pawn for sure, because now you have to address the bishop and you have to address the double attack on there, which you couldn't do even if you didn't have to address the bishop. Now this is the kind of position I'm more comfortable with, but even then I get sometimes lazy towards the end. Which one is better to take it with? I'd like to do it with the knight, but it's going to mess me up. Because it's not going to have cover and it's going to be a real pain in the neck. If I do this, you are posing another threat, so... But I kind of like where the rook is now on the open file, so let's leave it. Then where does the knight go from there? It could get in trouble. That's under threat. You could take here. That's perfectly fine. Because the bishop is better here, so you probably wouldn't want to do that, but I guess the double stack pawns is fine. Maybe not the best decision I've ever made. And I'm all for just trading. Trade everything. Now again, the worst case should at least be a draw. There shouldn't be a scenario where you lose this game as white. Or it would have been a lot cleaner if I didn't maybe let him take that, but... This, like, within 6 minutes, we get to a position like this, so how can you possibly complain? Now we just use the king. Now let's be sure with the king, because, like, mine will get there and then he can't do anything. Just leave it, leave it. Now my thing can roam and his can't do anything, let's say. You go like this, he can't take. He could check. You can try to take in a different angle. Now here he'd be forced to go back, wouldn't he? So letting him take there is dangerous. He almost should have threatened it. That would have been better. Almost like the king could account for some of this, because if you go here, you won't be able to really cover this is the problem. See how far he'll be willing to go with that. Like here, keep kind of pulling the rug out, but you don't want to let him do anything with that. Could just kind of keep going up with it, sort of push his thing back. And that was actually a bad check, because otherwise he could have... Okay. You can try to do a draw. Okay. Now you won't be able to give... Oh, but I can't do that. This maybe allows the king to come in a little bit. You can't go there, though, which I thought might be your thought process. So if you do this, you should definitely win, because you have the 3 connected pawns. 3 connected passed pawns, because that'll undouble the thing. If not, then I can take here. So either way. And it also sort of protects this, because you can't stay there. Or wait, it won't exactly be like that, but that's good. We earned back what we lost, actually, and a little bit more. So it wasn't the cleanest still, but they'll give you chances if you let them. And like, I love how that guy's up with queen, but then he gives me the queen back in a very sort of inventive way that I had tunnel vision on. Basically, the way this format goes sometimes is like, most of these people are better and they know more, but basically if they use their time like I use mine, which I'm not doing now, then basically they would win every time, but they just don't. That was a blunder to allow that, but it ended up working out. What are you supposed to do instead? You are supposed to move the knight, you are supposed to move it here. And so you're not even supposed to take the pawn at all, though. Either move would have been take the pawn, or, you know, like take the pawn and then move, not... Well, I guess he wouldn't have had the chance then. He kind of got frustrated pretty easily too. Again, it should be a matter of 2 games. 2 games. 69, Curse of 69, but now it'll be the Blessing of 69. The 1600 players are who I thought they were, the 1700s, and I let them off the hook time and time again. But not this time. Even that first one was such an easy win. Like, we're leading the whole way, and then I don't know what happened. Not that. Like, aren't we up by a significant margin in the beginning? Making a lot of mistakes, blunder. See, most of my blunders don't cause me to lose. That's the interesting thing, right? They'll cause me to not win. Like, I'll be up, and then they'll take away my advantage. So everything's great, and then you do this. So you didn't have to do that. Isn't it rare, though? Like, this is what the knights do to you, too. Like, it's rare that the queen's on the back rank and doesn't have cover, so you're not even thinking. I'm not looking at it, which you should do, obviously. I'm looking at it in my head, like, oh, of course, the queen always has cover on the back rank. Because there's going to be rooks, connected rooks, there's going to be so many things. Late night fancy chess, FM, IM. Those are the 2 changes to chess that'll happen in my lifetime. They'll get rid of the female titles, like Women's FIDE Master, Women's GM, whatever, Women's International Master, because women can be just as good as anybody. It doesn't matter. And then secondly, they'll nerf, or they'll buff the horse, or remove the horse from the game because it's so objectively flawed. And you could argue, like, okay, well, it's 0-sum, it's even because both players get to suffer the sort of horseshoe around their neck, but it's still not good for the game. But you might think, oh, it's unrealistic to think they would make a change like that, but only a few centuries ago they just made the modern version of chess that we know today. For example, if you look at like the en passant rule, the double push of the pawn rule, there's a lot of things about chaturanga that make you appreciate the minimalism of the game. Like, everything is worse, right? The knight, I guess, couldn't be any worse, so it's just as bad, but the elephant is way worse than the bishop. The chariot becomes basically like the queen, but the queen is bad. Like, the advisor can only move 1 square each direction diagonally. So that's really bad. So it just takes everything and lowers it. So there is still a lot of strategy in there. I don't know whether it's considered solved or not. What rules are known for chaturanga? Why is chaturanga so hard? Amount of upper body strength. Oh, this is like yoga. The point is that you can't double push pawns. There is no en passant. There is no castle. Like, all these little mechanics that spoil things. All these updates to the game that ruin it, right? Like, oh, I remember when it was the good old school chess. The pieces look too similar, though. Like, those are identical. What is that? How are you supposed to distinguish? Or like they have a little thing on top of them, but yeah, the elephants are trash. An uncheckered 8x8 board, sometimes with special markings, on which chaturanga was played. Is that like the spaces where the elephants could go, because they are on like an 8 square grid? And that's unironically probably what it is, but it's not, because they don't start there. Yeah, what is the point of those X's? And why are they like upside down? Rajas do not face each other. White Raja, obviously Raj is like king in Hindi. Raja, Mantri, Furs, or really the royal advisor is what it's supposed to be. Which I like because that's more like, you know, gender neutral. You don't have to make it about that. Chariot was God tier. Obviously, that's the highest value piece. Gaja, the elephant, so bad though, so bad. The knight actually is decent because just it's better than the advisor. It's better than the elephant, obviously. So the only thing better is the rook. Foot soldier, infantry, pawn. Yeah, the advisor is really weird. The same move. What? Silver general. Oh yeah, that's confusing as hell too in shogi. Gold knight, silver knight. Yeah, you want to find a game that's more beginner unfriendly than chess? Try shogi. It's actually insane, dude. I love it, but yeah, that's what I was trying to do. I do chess twice a week, but it was meant to be like one day would be something else, like a variant or some kind of fun challenge, or we'll try Go. I don't even know what Go is off the top of my head. Like, let's actually look. Like, I'm sure I've seen it, but I don't understand it. It's not like fucking checkers. But like why are the pieces so misaligned like that? What is this? They're supposed to like go in the crevice of the... I genuinely don't even know. Abstract strategy games for two players aims to surround more territory than the opponent. Game was invented by China more than 2,500 years ago. Is believed to be the oldest board game continuously played till present day. 2016. Yeah, we should totally try that. Let's just see an example of what it looks like. This would be annoying as hell to do in person, though, because you have to put it, like, it'd be so easy to knock over the pieces, wouldn't it? Because they'd be floating around, sliding around. There must be some way it inserts in there. Game of shapes. I have no idea, though. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anybody play that in real life. I've never played it myself, or I don't remember it if I have. Huh. Okay, let's focus and get a two games. That's all in my life that I need right now. This one's really good, but it's a little bit repetitive for my taste. Kind of scares me. It makes me think I forgot about like some kind of a classical game, but this is like correspondence. Gives a check. You could go like this. If he takes, you take this though. This started off very dominating for me. But to focus all the way, don't get tilted in the opening. Let them defeat themselves. That's my saying for chess, is let your opponent defeat themselves. And my saying for card games is like, it's more important than victory to... What's more important than beating your opponent is making them feel powerless. 1689, he's going to be 2200 here. Okay. Don't have to respond with what I normally do there. But he can pin down, so that in itself makes me nervous. Oh, this is weird, because you can't really do the King's Indian. Or you kind of still can, because... kind of still can, but I don't know whether it's worth it to do or not. Yeah, if you're going to have the pawns like this, you got to question even the nature of it, but it's supposed to be something that happens later on that frees it up. Like, it's a hard thing to kind of explain sometimes. Like, why put the bishop there at all? Because he's going to try to harass a bit. You want these to really be on the dark squares, though. I mean, I'll do what I have to with respect. No, but I can't because of this. You can force the knight out, but I'm okay with conceding some of this pawn structure to him. As long as I get kind of the structure I wanted, but I guess I won't now because he's going to be able to... okay. I would take, but I'm more than okay with doing that because if he lets it go in passing, what happens is I get exactly the structure I want. He's not going to keep going beyond that. Even though I go to like maybe some suboptimal spot here. I don't know about these knight positions, really. This one's going to have nowhere to go, actually. You put it here and you figure it out, but that's not a good... I don't know. You put it here, it really has nowhere to go. I'll still do it. Now, he wouldn't do that to give it free, so I get exactly the pawn structure that I always dream of, the V shape. Hidden before he messes it up, but at least that takes a little bit of work. We can still do basically the pin down, but we can cover from this way. He's going to have some kind of octopus knight to dream of, but really the ideal spot is to put it on here. So I don't know how you even do that right now. Some kind of witchcraft sequence like that. You go there, there, there. Don't make any obvious mistakes, just everything focus. If I win one more game, it'll be the highest rating I've ever had. Like, if I take one more step, it'll be the farthest from home I've ever been kind of line. You go here, he can unleash into something cheeky, I'm sure. And in fact, I don't even want to really do that. These knights are awkwardly positioned, but it opens up for the possibility of something else altogether. So putting one here is good, putting one there, and going with that. You don't want your focus to be too knight-centric either, but I do have to get them out of the way. There's no question about that. He can basically force me to take, or not really. Yeah, this is what you want to do. And whether I should do it right away or not, I don't know, but actually I will do it. If this was to be here, it would block the diagonal too, but he didn't seem to really want to do that. Not that he's stopped from doing it now. Okay, so you want to move the king and put the knight here. At least that's what I like to do. It seems like a weird spot for it, but then it somehow ends up helping later on. Like, you know, it stops the bishop from even coming inside. Although this is like a beginner's trap type of moment. Like you have the knight take and then the queen come in and then you mate, but it's not exactly the position for it anyway. This song is like one of those I listen to a lot during chess. Like it epitomizes the game. Like it's so repetitive and so good at the same time. How can a game have so many possibilities but still be so repetitive? It's quite a mystery because people go with the right, wrong answer type of scenario. So the most fun part about the game is the one that you spend the least time on, or like, you know, that you can't study really. You do like this, but I'd rather go. This is one of those bad claustrophobic positions that I sometimes get myself into. So you get pinned down even now, but there's really no concern or threat that it poses. The biggest move that maybe I feared was the knight here, but it's not that big of a deal. It's just kind of weird. You would bring this here then eventually. So when you have this V shape, you're in good shape, but you got to stay focused all the way, which I've been having a lot of trouble doing. I don't know why. So doing this is acceptable just to open the structure up. The worst case is the light square diagonal here, which doesn't actually... You see, you could even do this now because, you know, you have the knight cover. It's a very unique position. And so I could go like this and then move it. There's no question that I could do that. Unless you can put a secondary attacker on there, it's not a concern. Even if he can put one, it's still not a concern because, you know, it's just not feasible. You could raise this for now and block the bishop. My intention maybe was for later to go here, but kind of messed that up a little bit by doing that bishop move. So it's kind of a delayed, staggered pin down. This I'm not sure. He's going to do something with the pawns, but again, you just have to trust the structure. Like how they say in basketball, trust the process, trust the structure. This structure is good, so like whatever you do, it's going to be good. Just go with it. Now you almost don't want to do that, but I kind of still do want to do it. You could just go for it, because if you take, then you'll come back again, and then I won't be able to take. There could be some kind of light square shenanigans from that, but I almost don't anticipate it, but that's exactly what he's going for. If I go here now, you take... You can't do it first. You can't do it first. Like you go, I'm already here. You take, I take, then you go there, then I back off. Right, like it's too late for you to do that. You could also do the knight, which puts the bishop in a very precarious spot where it's not trapped, but it's pretty close to being trapped. Kind of a hard decision to make, actually. You go here, then he can go there. You go here, he goes there. I like this flexibility in a lot of ways, and in fact, that's anchoring for an octopus knight position because he doesn't have pawns to push it out. Although I wouldn't want him to really take there, but let's see if he's willing to let me take the dark square bishop with it. Now the thing about this is you really can't punish it because the pin down, because there's nothing else on there, or I'd even be threatening the queen. So like, okay, I'll take, you'll take, I'll take, you'll take, I don't know. Not a surprise that the horse can be a troublemaker sometimes. You could theoretically do it, but it's because of the rook that you can't do it. There's nothing else you can threaten it with, though. Or... I mean, I guess the queen, too, but... Now, just remember, the queen isn't covered, so if you want to... Oh, I want to do something cheeky and move the knight, and then trade the queen, but you can't trade the queen because the queen is not covered. Surely that's not something a 1600 player would have any trouble understanding. In a long game where they have plenty of time to think, even though I am still playing too fast. You gotta just like let the game dull your senses and lull you into a state of almost like meditation, like where you're just kind of sleeping as you play. That's why they close their eyes, because they can't believe they wasted 20 years on a board game, all these GMs, to make no money at all. That's why they started Twitch stream. You can certainly do this, and there's no reason really not to do it. If you come there, I can certainly take. There's no other great move that you can make with this, so let's just do it. Worst case is you could just threaten it again. We can have a little back and forth sequence with it. That is a legitimate octopus knight, right? That has no way to push it out. You can obviously try to trade for it with your own knight, or which I don't understand sometimes. Like, oh my goodness, this is so strong, but you can easily just take, or you can easily just try to take. Like, it's not impregnable or just impossible to do. So whatever pawn you take with has to be like really punishing for them to make them not want to trade. Now I'm not so sure because we're sort of out of the development, out of the opening, everybody's favorite part of the game. You have this nice little light square bishop that he maybe can't do much about. He kind of blocked his own diagonals going this way, so I don't know what the next step is now. I'm a little bit confused. Here's where I go full reactive mode because I don't have the will to attack or the skill to actually pull off a good attack either. So comes back with that. Yeah, now again, how do I punish him for doing that? And the answer is I can't. Like, I'm more than happy to trade it, don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean? Like, I have an octopus knight, so why should I have to give it up that easily? So it's even more of an insular condition. Like, not only is an octopus knight hard to get, but even once you get it, it requires that certain things aren't on the board. So if the knights weren't on the board, and if the Darkspear Bishop wasn't on the board, then it's guaranteed, because you can't take. I don't want him to mess up this beautiful V-shaped pawn structure, but that probably wasn't the right move, or I don't know. See, the engine is very comfortable with awkward pawn moves because it can deal with those awkward pawn structures that are born as a result. This is fine. The double stack makes sense. Is the only open file, half open at that. Watching for any kind of sneaky moves, but it seems pretty secure for the time being. We have some good threats going towards the king side. Now might be a good time to bring inside the knight. You can't raise this. You could take it, and then he could take, and then I can't take. The whole stacking of it is kind of wrong. Like, it's just in the wrong spot. So I would take, he would take, and then I can't do anything. But then again, it sets up for me to be able to double take. Like, it's not something I like to do, but technically if you do that, I'm +1 from that. Like, even that's fine. Like, what other threat is he posing? It's not a big deal. Or is he gonna somehow trap it? Go like this, or ring the knight. But it's just like too many things that I don't need to be doing. You have this diagonal, and you have the ability to maybe bring this, so no matter where you go, it is going to be trouble. You can always go here then. These are covered anyway, so there's no threat that I'm seeing that bothers me too much. And then if he doesn't take, I'll just take. You know how trade happy I am, and my position is kind of more aggressive than his, truthfully. Just that bishop alone can be a little bit scary, so maybe he's more inclined to trade. You know, even here, you could do a +1. Take, then take, then take. But then he would take. But if he takes, then I take. So he has to take. I'm not going to do it, but the only square to go to, so it was damn near trapped, actually. If you had gone here, I would have still been able to take. So either you're going to trade the rook, or you're just going to sit there forever. One of these two things is going to happen. Stay focused. This is not a sprint, it's a long distance, just like how, you know, it's the tortoise beats the hare. You have to really take your time in this mode. I like how they're almost insulting you by saying that, though. You're as slow as a turtle. Okay. You could easily take, and then there's no possibility of a trap. I was almost worried about that for a second. You could bring the rook there, there's no question about it. This sort of bishop threat is eerily close to being trapped, but I don't necessarily have to take there, but this is going to turn into some kind of weird mate. Like, if I don't take, he'll do this and then take, like, just stupid. Or wait, that in itself is very concerning. There's nothing else you can threaten me with, though, still, so that was actually potentially dangerous. Yeah, you are leaving yourself up to a mating position. Once again, the knight gets in the way. The rook could come in and threaten the queen, but then I could just take his queen. It's not going to be the same thing. Okay. Can't do that either, so I'm okay with this. I'm not up any material, but the V shape should hold, or it won't because of the stupid of his bishop there. You can't let him get in here, which as soon as you move the knight, he'll be able to do, so... Right, if I do this, you come there. You could take there, and then you put this there. You need to move the knight without disrupting this. You need to put it on maybe a dark square. Putting it this far out could be a mistake. But, yeah, he could, like, check there. Put it there, so then we can move the knight with impunity because he can't come into here. Yeah, so the knight almost gets me mated actually because of this stupid position. That could have been a mistake, it could have been a blunder, but when you have less material, that's exactly the thing, right? All these threats that could exist don't exist because you're missing the pieces you would need to do it. That bishop was good the whole game, but I can't figure out still necessarily how to do it. At least it cancels out for his, so if we trade those, it's fine too. So you can give a check like there, which I don't really know the significance of because I've done well with the trade so far. Like, it doesn't allow him to do anything kind of new that he couldn't have done before. I wanted to go like this, but let's actually go like this because it stops the check. And so either way that I choose to take, would be fine. If you check with the rook, I can still take. If you check with the knight, I can still take. I don't necessarily want to take, but you know, whatever trades we're gonna get, or we're gonna get. It's interesting to use the king like this to try to block the attack on this, but all you have to do is kind of mirror where you think he's gonna go, which on the light square it might be harder to guarantee that. I don't see why people like this would be averse to trades either, because, well, unless they have a really good attacking position or something, but even then, yeah, that is actually weird. When you have a material advantage, you're supposed to trade a lot of the time, but shouldn't you try not to trade and try to just mate them, or, you know, do something with the piece advantage? But I guess it's safer to think like, okay, you're going to get to the end game and then you'll have extra pawns or an extra piece, so of course you'll win at that point. So just concentrate. The trades are all favorable, even though my bishop position was pretty great. I just wasn't using it adequately, so. Now the check is possible, but it doesn't fork or do anything. I mean, it's almost scary to think you might have missed that. Huh? Okay, I didn't see that. You have to still stay connected to there, at least for the time being. Not like you're going to be able to trap the knight or something, so you'd like check from there, I guess. It's just important to cover this E7, so I genuinely did not see that one. Even this still covers it, so I don't know what the problem is. You can just keep giving an endless check chain, though, as part of the annoyance of this. Right, like there's nothing. Still can't come down. He'd have to cover that. Okay, I did. Now this one I wouldn't be able to take no matter what, so even if you were to sort of pin it down, it just wouldn't matter. So that pawn loss was a big deal. If you want to get a threefold repetition like this, I'm more than happy to do that with you. I don't see where else the knight is really going that's going to be good. All that and we give up a +1, which is kind of shocking. How did I guess that's what was happening in the first place. I just kind of fell asleep, and you would think this would be a scary threat only because, you know, oh no, he can't move the knight. But actually it is kind of scary because he would unleash and give a check, and then I would move, and then could be scary for me just as well because you won't win anything by doing it either. If you do this and then he does this, then I go down, then he goes there, then I go up. Like, it's basically the same thing, but I don't see the point really in doing it. If I go here, then he goes there, then I go back. But then it allows him maybe to pin down in the same way, and that could be more of a danger. It's tempting to do it, but it seems like a mistake. I don't know. Basically, if he doesn't address it, I would take, he would take, and then I still wouldn't be able to take, so it's pointless. If you had a better pawn way to push it out, it'd be good. Or you might think, okay, like he goes here, I threaten it, but then you lose that. Check, down, check, up, check. Sort of an unnecessarily forcing move to just try to get even more trades, which maybe won't even benefit me, but as if that one pawn should be the difference, but that was a genuine mistake. You almost gotta outlast them. Like, the game's just gonna drag on and actually go down to time pressure, even in a classical scenario. Like, this is the general idea, but something is gonna go wrong. Like, you go there, then I move, then you go there, then you go there. Like, I see the sequence coming. You do this, but then he would check, of course, is the problem. So he checks. Then I go there. There's a lot of back and forth stuff, so it doesn't matter. It's just, I put this here. He'll check there first, right? He'll check there first. Then he'll try to basically go like that. He checks there. I move. He checks there. It would technically stop that from happening, though. If I take, then he takes, but it's the same thing for him. This one doesn't necessarily need a cover. You might be tempted to do this because... Okay. That is under a severe double attack, which I thought I did just outline that, but... Yeah, see, trying to do too much, man. I didn't need to do any of that. So if you do that, you fork. Huh. The difference is like the pawn cover in that scenario. I mean, that should have been a draw by most estimations, but okay. Even the +1 was an obvious mistake. That was an obvious mistake. There are just some tendencies I can't not do, I guess. I can never stop. It's just so simple. All you have to do is just like not do anything, which is not fun or interesting or anything, but just don't want to let him check, but there's not much I can do otherwise. I could give a whole bunch of checks, so the -1 I could have easily dealt with and drew it, but this one I'm not so sure. Unless the knight just becomes completely useless, which it might be, but it's just... go here, but then he has the impetus to come in, but he actually doesn't. If he pushes, I could double take, which still wouldn't really benefit me, though. The knight could come in and attack it with the cover. The fact that we'd be double attacking doesn't even matter, only because of the pawn cover there. It was a pretty cleanly played game up until basically the end. I guess I just can't maintain it once again. That was actually not bad, though. That's a draw 100% of the time. Give me a threefold repetition. That's all I want. It might happen just by sheer accident. He's also going to be afraid of doing so. Like, there's very few mistakes you can make at that point. There's not even a question of seeing or not seeing them. Like, you're trying to do something that you don't have to do. That's the only reason why you make a mistake there. Okay, so this would be still doable, but he could possibly make a mistake. It's not just me who's capable of doing that. Yeah, lock the pawns and just go for a draw. How about that? This seems insulting for him. Like, why would he? If it was the +1 only, then I could understand it. So I just take the horse and I throw it in the trash. That is what I'll come to realize. It wasn't me who was wrong. It was the knight. The knight is designed in an objectively flawed way. So why shouldn't I not want it to be a part of the game? Even if it means giving it up for free. That is actually the right thought process. Like, it's just not a good piece to have. Guess I could have gone there at that point. You kind of have to, because if you don't, then... Interesting that you choose not to take that. But here you could certainly check. There's no other checks and stuff that opens up for him. He's still capable of making a mistake. No way to really double attack this, so you might just have to deal with that. The amount they overuse the Steel Samurai in this universe is ridiculous. It's like they have this one fictional universe, fictional show in the story, and everybody only cares about that. Take. What will he do, though? He can't give a check, so what will he do? He'll raise it. He'll just raise it. And maybe I wasn't gonna win that anyway, but it should have been a draw. Yeah, and my lust to try to do that. Okay. Now you can't move the pawn on account of the king. You do that the other way too. If he goes to like f5, I could check it. This is gearing up to be a nice threefold repetition moment. Just push the pawn. That's the obvious move. Why is it so hard for you to see? Fuck. Which way makes more sense? Probably this is still good. Because if you go here, you open up all kinds of stuff with the knight. Really gonna do like some kind of check chain here. You'll check. I'll be forced to move in undesirable ways now. Wouldn't it be funny if he gave up checkmate there? Like, just move something other than the knight or the king this move, right? That's actually... Oh my god, that would be the path to 1700 that I dreamed of. Move the knight, move the knight. It's like where a GM's telling XQC or somebody what piece to move. They tell you what piece, but not where to move it, right? Like a hand and brain thing. Be able to keep going at this stage. Nothing to worry about, just do it. It's not even the pawn, but look at how little the knight is doing for the time being. Activate the knight, activate the knight. The best piece in the game. They couldn't possibly screw you over. Look how close that actually is, but obviously here you can block. He wouldn't have been able to block in the other scenario, right? Yeah, he unironically would have just lost, but it's too hypothetical of a scenario. If he moves up, I wouldn't be able to do anything. Opening up another threat that he can potentially do. Yeah, that one's kind of annoying because this is the downside of the 30-minute thing, is that it does go on so long that you can't falter any step along the way. I wouldn't mind just spamming checks, but I don't know what impact it's going to have here necessarily. I mean, you could make a trade like 4 for 5, but then obviously he's going to tear you up. If I take, he can just take. It's not going to really help me. Although, don't underestimate the nice ability to screw things up. He doesn't seem to want the c7. I wouldn't even blame the one pawn that I gave up there somewhere in the middle. It was all to do with the... It was all to do with the other thing. Yeah, my lust to try to do something with the knight, trade the knight. Make this as annoying as possible at least, but that doesn't still do much. Stops the rook from coming to the place that I so would have desired it. Just didn't seem very interested in that ever. Not gonna move the rook. Very hard to push that knight out, actually. That creates a very simple, elegant threat. Even do it like that, give him the fork instead. Yeah, that was at least a good chance that I had there. That wasn't a bad game. Or we should have this. If I get a stalemate, that would be quite a godsend. Make as many queens as you want. That's the bad karma for over promoting. You won't even let it get to that point, probably. Wow, that one pawn's gonna ruin it. Maybe one of these would be a stalemate. He's under immense time pressure with only 11 minutes left. We still stay within the 80 bracket, so the question is, do I have the patience to still keep doing this? I'll do it all night, I guess, because this is what it's going to take. It's a double-edged sword of the 30-minute. Like, the outcome, then you can't complain, like, oh, it's just a bad format, which, you know, obviously rapid 10-minute stuff is objectively bad, and the shorter it gets worse, but the flip side is, then you can't... You know what I mean? Like, it'll take a lot longer and be a lot more exhaustive, but it's worth it because then the outcome is more authentic. We didn't make any blunders, but it was very much within reach. It's always my desire to trade that dictates everything, almost to the point of being a joke, because it's not a question of whether it's a good move or not, but I guess you just have to double check it too. So like my primary incentive in the game is not to win or lose, it's to trade everything, and then we'll see what happens. It's not a good strategy. Like, even before you have an advantage or any good reason to do it. Also not taking breaks between. This is kind of the wrong way of doing it, but it's okay. Got to get some easy wins back to back, but this is going to stop happening now. You know, that gives you a certain amount of confidence, but you never know. You cannot be sure with these people because I guess I'm not so different. Like, oh my goodness, you lost to a 1400 rapid player. Not that that is at all what my peak would be even now, but it's just... Time makes a lot of difference. Which I hate when people try to discredit, like, oh, of course you'll be better in classical, but everybody should be better. So if you're 2000 in rapid, you shouldn't complain like, oh, this 1600 player beat me because it's a longer time format, because you have that much time too. But that's actually kind of wrong thing to do still, because you could... you're supposed to bring the knight probably first. You could pin this down. I can't decide whether I want that or not. Seems like the kind of game for that ice, right? The only reason why it's bad is because of a particular idea here. So what if that happens? Or I could just do this immediately then. Yeah, we have to cherish the light square bishop if you're going to play like that, which you might think it's weird that somebody who likes bishops this much as me would so willingly give one up, but somehow you have to deal with one less knight. It's worth it, and maybe that's the right time to do it. You could do the knight covers knight, since we didn't develop the knight at all before. But then the thing is that the worst thing that happens here is you just sort of open the king. So if he does it, already messing up. Amazing experience. Or he doesn't do it. You could either raise this or you could just try to get rid of this. So he's just forced to do it. Either you do the trade or you don't. There's no halfway with this. I always find this so questionable. Like, you almost feel like you have to do this. Because then always just stops the knight from coming in, so that's no longer a problem. I mean, again, he wouldn't have won material necessarily, but it would have messed up the kingside pawns, which maybe doesn't matter as much with the queen off the board, which would have been traded through thoroughly to do that. That's what happens with that extra trade sometimes. It's like you'll trade even to the queen, but then you only do it because of some inconvenient pawn structured thing, or that's a good reason to do trades, period. Like, you could just move the queen away and then it's not a problem. Take, you won't take. But then he would have done that, I guess, like, even without the queen support. Could you actually do this and sort of disrupt the dark square diagonal? He would take, I would take, he would take, I would take, he would take, I would still take, but it's not the right time. Now this is what I call elevator music. Somebody made an epic remix of this. This is so good. Yeah, see, that's such a good thing. This was the music that was playing in the elevator the day of when that happened with his father, so that's why it's associated with that. That's a good way to explain it. My friend used that for that Alex Botes video, which he always uploads stuff that I wouldn't want to upload myself. Like, I give him permission to use my archive of like thousands of hours of random shit that I talk about, most of which I don't consider noteworthy, but some of it actually gets some amount of attention. He has such a good eye for stuff. Like, he's lazy and doesn't do his own content, but he can just pick out, like, out of 1,000 things. Like, he uploaded 20 videos on his channel of random streamers like Pokimane and XQC, and like almost every video would get like 70k views and 500k views and 20k. Like, he's not doing anything, he's just taking other people's stuff, but somehow he just knows what makes people tick, sort of. So he's a little bit lower on time. You could move this around. Like, you're still taking the ballpark of 3 more, but you shouldn't even think about that in the course of the game. This I don't really like because it is an easy target, but there's no way to actually get to it. So the pawn structure is actually fine. It's just did castle queenside, which is maybe a good counter response to the position of the bishop. Is there a way that you can really punish this? Because you can always escape no matter what you do. Like, we can just attack it with the knife, but there's no real easy way to do that. Or you could do like this, no, like this and this would be beautiful. But then you can still just escape. Love to hear like every song in the universe like this, or like there's some sort of explanation. Like you're at the global studio, so that's the music that's playing in the background, or there's always some real, like that's how Rockstar kind of did it with GTA 4 and stuff, which is why they sort of justified, oh, it's okay that it doesn't have a score because all the music you're hearing is sort of on the radio, and in real life, like even if you hear it in the background during a mission, it's because it's playing on the radio in the warehouse that you're having a shootout in or something like that, right? Or during the cutscene. That's cool, and I like that, but that's sort of a good filmmaking technique. Like, you don't have an OST or a score for it. You just have naturally, you know, Patrick Bateman goes to the club and he hears I Feel So Extraordinary. What's it called? The Power, Faith, whatever song. So New Order, Faith, something, True Faith. So he hears that in the background as he's ordering the drink. But the point is that it doesn't hurt to have a score too, because you could always turn it off and then still just do the same thing. So GTA 5 has one of the best scores of all time. So that's the trade-off, is like you don't need to lose one to give the other. So I like how long he's taking, but it means he's coming up with some genius level move, of course. He has a bishop pair, but they're sort of facing other different directions, so that kind of doesn't count. Right, like at least I think in general that's not considered to be as good. I hope some real life thing happened and he went AFK and he'll lose because of it. Not because I'm a cruel, lazy person, but just because I've been through enough with this site and this whole experience. Like I just need to do this right now. Yeah, just go AFK the whole way. I'll sit here and just chill. Like, but if you're really trying to think, that is part of the evil of it, right? It's the laziness. You want things to be easy, not just like in that sense, but you going for all these threats that you know won't work. You know they won't work, but you still do them because you just hope that they'll work and it'll save you time. Not even because of the format, but just in general, like, oh, he's gonna mess up and just could be calculating some combination lock type sequence. Just, I don't know. But the point is I can just move the queen and then everything is fine because you don't have to worry about it. You could even just move this. You just got to watch out for the combination of the diagonal there. He knows I'm too good. Look how fast I move there. And he's just going to be totally stuck on this. Just give up. You're 1100, which, I mean, I was shocked when someone said that. Oh, that's why you're stuck at 1200. But, like, what do you mean, dude? It's obviously talking about bullet or something, which is fair, but I love that. Like, yeah, that's what you should do when you're learning a game, is you should try to play it as fast as possible. Not as well as possible and understand what's happening and the nuance. No, you should try to play it. That's the perfect metric, right? If you play Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom for the first time, you should speed run it your first playthrough. First playthrough speed run instead of first playthrough permadeath. Although even that seems like a ridiculous format if you really think about it. It's just my patented way that I love to play games because it operates under the logic of, like, you know, for example, most games are easy enough to be beaten without dying. And that was even true of Ocarina of Time. I love that story. As a kid, I'm playing Ocarina of Time and I play it super thoroughly and I 100% it and all this kind of stuff. And so I only died once in the whole game. Not because, oh, I'm so good, but because it's not that hard of a game. And especially as you go on. But guess what I died to? Ganondorf in his final form, Ganon, in the castle. Right? I was kind of psyched out. Like, oh, I thought the game was over. We escaped from the castle. We beat Ganon. I wasn't expecting there to be more. So I was kind of just beside myself at that point. So it was kind of a cool shock moment. But I'm saying even as a kid, so I basically almost completed a first playthrough permadeath off Ocarina of Time. So that kind of goes to show most games are not made to be so difficult that they that they can't be done that way. And of course, in like a master like me who's able to, you know, would never fail at that. But it's that, see, that increases the level of immersion because it's like real life, or like it actually matters and you have to really pay attention and focus and this and that, compared to speed runs, which do the opposite. You're trying to get through it as quickly as possible and subvert the mechanics, whereas with hard modes or permadeath, you're trying to expand the mechanics. Like, oh, now you really have to use that Luigi's Mansion thing where you tap the ice and the elements to try to chain together and kill the purple ghost. Like, you're taking the mechanics that are already there, but you're expanding on them, and you really have to master them because the enemies have more health, or they do more damage, or there's more of them, or there's some other context to it. They're harder, right? Instead of stripping it down and like, oh, I just want to skip everything and this and that. And furthermore, with the context of permadeath, it's like everything matters. So every little resource, you don't, like, for example, you don't feel guilty about it. Oh, you're doing that cheese strategy, but it doesn't matter because you only have one life. So you do whatever you can, but then if you die, you can't complain like, oh, I was holding back. So you give it all you got. Live, you know, play like you've only got one life. Live life you'll die tomorrow kind of thing. But then it becomes a necessity. It becomes a survival guide rather than like just a cheese or an exploit or something like that. I like how long he's taking, but it's going to be a case where he's going to make some god tier moves at some point. Why do I get the feeling I would be like 1,500 feet? Not that it matters, but you know, people might think, oh, it's closer to 12 or something because these sides are inflated. But I feel like at the low level, it can sometimes work the other way too. Not that it isn't still inflated, but if you give me time over the board and I'm actually patient, which I'm not, it's a weird oxymoron. Like, I'm impatient, but I like to think about what I'm doing, or at least I'm slow. So I'm not impatient with, like, I'm equal opportunity impatient, not just with other people, but with myself. Like, or that's like how I'm so self-critical sometimes too. I'm my own biggest critic. So like, I would never be offended by stuff people say because I would have already said it, or I already know, like, just don't die. Just don't get hit by that thing. More so, I'd be offended just by how stupid people are. Like, I like that. That was one of my RP quotes or something. I said years ago, like, I'm not offended by you saying, I'm not offended by what you said, whatever it might have been. I'm offended by being a part of a species that's capable of producing such stupidity. Like, the fact that I share the race with you and you were capable of saying such a dumb, moronic thing. That's what offends me. Not actually what you said, because I could care less. What did you say? To be part of a species that is capable of such idiocy. But yeah, people are way more sensitive today than in the good old days, like 2015, when I was even still complaining about it. I wonder how much you'd be able to do. You kind of need a cult of personality to stand on, or you have to establish the long-form postulate idea in a very clear way, like where you talk about, like, you know, you can play devil's advocate and stuff. People have no sense of awareness of that idea. Like, you got to be like a Skip Bayless. Like, you can make the most outrageous case ever, and it's okay because what you're doing is you're just seeing it in a hypothetical. So sometimes the best way to see something clearly is to look at it from the opposite perspective. So like, there's this fact that we take as objectively true without question, and we just, you know, we just take it as an absolute. So let's try to make the argument for the opposite or the contrary notion, or an argument against it, just to test it and see if it holds up really well. And the biggest sign of sort of like a cult ideology is like where you say, no, you can't do that. You can't question it. Well, if it really is such an absolute and so sure, then you shouldn't feel under any threat for doing that, right? So that's the biggest test. If you can't be held to scrutiny, then there's something wrong, right? You're not doing it because, oh, it goes without saying, of course it's absolute and it's unquestionable. You're not doing that because it actually is. You're doing that because it's not, and any amount of thought would invalidate it. And that's what I said about like some stuff to do with religion, just not to get too specific, but you know, there is this sense of the dogmatic, unquestionable nature. Like, you're not allowed to question it, and it's an absolute, not because it actually is, because if it was, then nothing could unravel it, right? You could question it as much as you want and nothing would ever poke a hole in it, but it's the opposite reason. So there is this sense of like, the things that you're most sure of are the things you think least about, and are the things that maybe have the least amount of actual logical foundation to them, but people just take them for granted. You might say this is the negative side of it, but I'll totally take it. Like, even if he does come back, I have time advantage then, but it's hardly going to matter probably. I know I said the chess is suited for just streaming, just chatting content. Like, this is the way I would do it, but I didn't mean it like this. But there's nothing else I really care to do besides just wait. We need this, and we need 2 more games. And by hook or crook, like, I'm just playing the game, dude. There's no reason why I shouldn't be able to do it right now, today. Although it could be by tomorrow or past midnight, because of how long some of these games might take. Yeah, just make my day, dude. Make my day. See, this is the moment of realization. He's like, oh, this guy's streaming, so I'm gonna troll his content. He's gonna be stuck here looking at the board. But I make my own content, dude. I am the content. You don't have to fucking do this shit. Okay. It took him a very long time to do that. He could have had some real life stuff come up, but let's think about that. If he goes there, I don't actually know what to do. You almost want to raise it. Then he'd be able to take 2. It's a problem because you're gonna have to move the knight, and if you take it, could be trouble. This is the move that I had in my head. Now that could be a mistake because you're kind of putting yourself in a position where, I don't know. See how lazy I am, though? I won't even take any time in a case like that. Or you thought for so long that you should be scared by what his next move might be. I mean, you kind of have to take, though, is the thing. But as long as his pawn is there, I'm fine with it. Because what you're able to do is not have to worry about that. So now he might start to push it at all. He might try to come behind. He might try to go there. Claustrophobia that can sometimes happen that is very troublesome. Like, think about the sequence of moves. Okay, he goes there, but then I take. If I go here, then he can't stay in there because he's already... Right, his time is already up. You gotta go back at least a little bit. That's actually not that bad of a deal, but that H-file can be deadly if you let it be open all the way. So you gotta leave that for a while. And even if he comes like this, you go like this, but then you don't want to let it cross like it's gonna be a promotion. Now, he will actually be under time pressure. He's giving me time odds, which, in a sense, it's the opposite. Like, I kind of give them time odds if I play this fast, which I traditionally try not to do. He just wanted to hear this elevator music as much as possible, because if the game was over, it would have been... Okay, that I can't do now. That's the thing. But in his lust to do it, did he end up trapping it? Kind of, not really. But like, it's really going to force him to make a move, but I can't even do that. Hovers there, we have to somehow not let this pawn be an issue. So of course, my intention is not to take with the knight, otherwise I wouldn't have done that, you know, in the first place. Playing very aggressively, but again, I don't punish people for doing that because I kind of welcome these attacks and I sort of just try to respond to them. In a way, it could be a blessing in disguise because maybe it was setting up to be a draw and then it turns into a win by time, which shouldn't really think about, but look at how much or how little I've used. Forget about what he's doing. Just in general, I'm going way too fast. You go here. He's forced to go only to really one square. Otherwise, so the bishop should be out of commission for a while. Then he'll try to do something cheeky with this. There's certain obstinate things I could do. Like I could just not. That is still the intuitive thing to do, in my opinion. But this knight isn't really in the greatest spot either. You could try to eat up the bishop on the other side, but I can't necessarily guarantee that. He's got to get out of there with the thing. Because even if you take, then you check, then I take, then you take, then I take. There's only one spot you can go. It's really just that simple. Even if this was here, check, take. So that's going to be backed off. Now, I almost want to harass this, but it doesn't actually work too well. But you could go like this, take. No. This would allow you to potentially get trapped. You could try to match the threats that he's doing, but see, that's the one that really messes me up. This knight isn't really doing anything. Yeah, not being able to go there is uncomfortable because, you know, you could double, triple stack and it would be very troublesome. What if I go like this and then I push it to the edge? Everything's covered. Everything's good. You might pose this double threat, so you'll be forced to do this. It's too bad. Like, this is the positions where the knights are the worst, although you would think in closed positions they're supposedly good. It's just, you know, you go here, you go like there. It's just not... There's no great way to do it. But that would be enough even for the triple stack, right? Like, okay, so he would take, I would take, he would take, I would take, he would take, I would still take. But oh no, he's winning a pawn. We can't have that. The triple stack doesn't come so easily, but... You know, I can't think of what else... It would take you a little bit of time still is the point. If I take, he checks, I take, he takes, it's still fine. I have to be very wary of this. I have to find a way to do this. Okay, here we go. We should have trapped the bishop unless I'm miscalculating something. Even as scary as this pawn threat might seem to be, this should clear up at least some space. You take, you take. Now the double take doesn't look as good, so we just have to survive this threat. That's all we have to do. Which the threat is missing a little bit of a component here, but I can't stop that very well. So you could go like this, and then he goes like this, and then I go like this, and then he goes like this, and then he goes like this. That's kind of a good bait play. You should do it. Well, I don't necessarily want that trade to happen either, but... And it still doesn't stop this from happening. Now, the dark square thing is good, no matter what. Right, like you go here and there's much more security in your position. You gotta watch where that knight might go, but I don't see anywhere it actually can go. And so you go like this. We did that not because we wanted to win the piece. We did that just to open up the light square thing. Or open up the dark square for that. You have to be very careful to even be able to do this. And then once you do that, you feel pretty secure for the rest of the way. I can't imagine why you wouldn't be. And so take, but then take, but then take, but then take, but then still take. I can't find much of a use for the knight here, I'll be honest. Takes. Don't give up some kind of easy threat. This would be one of those games where Knighton was screaming the whole time too, like, oh my goodness, he has this great move, this great attacking threat. So it'll be a combination of them stream sniping me and them reading my chat to see what the best moves are. But then again, I try to not let that happen in chat, or at least I won't read it because it feels like cheating. So moving this pawn is a question mark. So that's at least the one thing the bishop is doing here. Still more than what the knight is doing. So yeah, yes, of course. This is why you like this bishop on this side, because even in the queenside castle position, it'll be in line with what he's attacking your king with, even though it's still not. Like, not to get too overconfident either, but even if he does this, I could take, but then this one becomes a real danger that I don't want. Right, like I shouldn't. Like, what if I just go here? Then he goes there, but then I take. At no point was he, like, showing his offline, so I don't know what the AFK was about. Didn't seem bad at all, though. Like, he created a good, scary threat, even as black. You see how I never punish them for their offensive stuff, though. What does that even do? If you take, I take. Take. I take, you take. Might be a good excuse for the knight, but I don't even want to do that. Well, you have to, though. This is bad, or it's not bad, because you can put it here and then you're still covering. The problem is you almost want to cover there, but I can't figure out how to do it. You have more than adequate covers, but this claustrophobic nature with the knight is questionable, to be sure. Almost what comes to mind. This square does still raise some questions, though. This creates a great cover for me unless I somehow lose it, but what did that open up for him? He comes like this, I could still take. He comes like this. I don't have to, like, ever move that knight necessarily, but... You can do some kind of crazy gambit thing, but you should be disciplined now. You should be humbled by the fact of how, you know, he's already down material, so the attack should kind of cool down. He's going to be tempted to move that F-pawn at some point. I'm just banking on it. His G2 is in heaven right now. We could even bring the rook to A2. I'm trying to think, how could he pose another threat to the knight? And I don't think there is a good way except with the knight itself. Or actually, that is one way. That's a little bit scary, but you could still go like this. So you got knight covers knight. And that also allows you to, if he takes with the bishop, it's fine. Or now you could push the pawn with impunity because you don't have to worry about that as much. So again, the claustrophobic nature of some of these positions is the biggest detriment of them, obviously. All you want to do is trade, but he won't let me trade. If he takes. Too many threats going on now. Oh wow, now I can't even figure out what's going on. If he takes, I can still take. If I take, he takes, but that's very scary too. This would force him to do something immediately. He can't even give it a check necessarily. Or he'll give it with this, and then I'll take it with this. The knight covers knight. He takes. And it was scary relying on the knight this way, but if he takes it, I take. And then he takes. Although that is, yeah, you're basically just giving up a piece there too. With 4 minutes left, will he clutch it out? I'd be very impressed if he does. This is almost the opposite, like where I would come out with something, you know, I take my time against a better opponent, even though we're the same rating. At this point, it does become meaningful if you play like hundreds of games, because whatever it means, he's only played 32, but this is where you can make a name for yourself, earn it. Do you belong here, or do you belong to be higher or lower? If you win this game, you should be higher. Look at that clock taking away moments of your life. I've never used one of those little timers either, where you like hit the thing and then it goes to the other side and then they hit it. That shows you you're not like a serious professional chess player. When in doubt, just try to trade. When in doubt, just try to castle. All basic logical razors and fundamentals of the game. Come on, just give it to me this one time in my life, dude. Just once, I want you to give it to me. For everything I've been through with this experience, it's actually stunning to me what this game is. It's not the game I thought it was. It's not the game I kind of grew up playing in a very irregular way. You shouldn't even say that. Like when you say, oh yeah, I played it as a kid, like meaning like 1 or 2 games like a week, maybe, if that. Not like, oh my goodness, 10 hours a day, the way that people, you know, it really is like a good lie that people tell. You know, like, oh my goodness, this guy's innately gifted at chess. Oh, so he just started playing and he was 2000 within a week? No, he studied for 2 years and then he was 2000. And that's the gift. Not saying that anybody who studies for 2 years could be that, but how many people do that and don't do that? You know what I mean? Like, if you study for that long, you should be really good. The sheer amount of time he has makes me think that it's over, and so he kind of gifted that to me. So many of these games are deceptive too, because they sort of, you know, they sort of could actually do this, because then the queen is still covered. It's still covered, so As much as I want to trade the queen. Oh, but then you'll take and then I'm not going to mess around with that. Now you should be much more secure. I can't imagine why you'd be too worried about this. Trying to tell me I can't last 2 minutes here. So take, and then you have a double stack. You have a protecting the knight. You could double attack the knight, but it wouldn't be enough. Thankfully, it's not on a light square. Thankfully, his knight is completely garbage. Yeah, you could have tried to play for that, but then it opens up all kinds of check. Probably mate. I don't even want to think about it. Like when Roger Ebert is disagreeing with Siskel about something, and he's like, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to talk about it. Like brain candy. It's like we get paid to talk about it. When Hikaru said Hikaru says, I don't want to think too much. You get paid to think too much. Like when he's calculating something. But no, I get paid just to stream it. That's why he's saying that. You know, you could do even like this. And so that would enable you to be secure with it even more. In fact, doesn't that trap the rook? Amazing scenario. Clearly because he's choking on time, but then again, that's a very dangerous spot to put it. So that's why trading the queen is basically tantamount to just, you know, you automatically just win or draw at that point because you're in such an overextended aggressive position that that's all you need to get out of it is just, as a defensive player, just trade something. The really skilled players won't let you trade. Win by attrition, but again, he just AFK'd for like 15 minutes in the middle, so I'm not going to say that I deserve that. Whatever you do with that, I could care less. Now it's actually just over. He still had like some vague hint of chance, but just don't get too overconfident though. He'll do like some kind of mate with just that. I'm just waiting for it, dude. He'll literally just mate me with that. I won't even take it, dude. I won't even take it. Like, there are these triggering positions in the game of chess, like where it seems like, oh, you couldn't possibly lose here, surely. And then something wild happens. That's too bad, dude. You had a whole half hour. I don't know what to make of it. Only +6. That would take 2 more games. So do I have it in me to just do this right now? I think that I should try, but that would be a great way to cap this off, but it's just sometimes I'm not playing at the right level. Like, I'm even not playing with the right level of patience here either. I feel like when you're in a hurry in real life too, it's like, not that I really am, but it's a lot to have to do. I don't know what to make of it. Like, it wasn't a good game. It wasn't anything. Yeah, I thought about that too, but even then I would have been happy with the trade. Like, yes, he could have won this, but he wouldn't have won it, especially with that little time. Okay, I'll take a second and then I'll do, really it should just be 2 more, or it'll be more than that. Damn it, now it'll be back to 3 again. How? He'll give like 7, 14 average. See, that guy only gave 6, so if it is giving more, then you're facing like really, really high rated opponents, which you almost don't want to do either. And it's kind of deceptive that this is so low. Like, I haven't played that, well, sometimes you do. Yeah, see, these should all be from last year. Although some of these are from last year too. In fact, only 2 of these are like very recent, or 3. You kind of have to be doing this. Now, everybody we're beating is going to be a 17 and 18 because we're going to be a 17. Like, how do you know, do it on a technicality? So that was sort of a lucky technicality win. So Let's get 2 more of those, and then we'll be good to go, or just make it 3 to be safe. This is at such a time that it should be lucky, like another very repetitive song. Like maybe people are doing drunk challenges with chess or just dicking around late at night before they go to bed. Like it's not, I don't know. You can kind of play the game within the game and try to game the matchmaking, like to try to get the easiest times of day for the easiest matchups. 666. A non-junior, number 2. All you have to do is play your best possible game. That's what I always talk about. Like, if you beat me when I play my best possible game, then so be it. But that's the thing. You can't do that. This is what you're supposed to do up to here. And then at that point, I have no idea. So look at me even being an opening theorist. Like everything is answered by this sort of proposition, but I don't know, you know. Cover knight covers knight, but this is the kind of move that kind of scares you, so I don't know what to do with it. That's the thing, I don't know. You want this to come out, but you also want... You want a castle. If he comes there, it's immediately annoying. So what do I do about it? There's nothing I can do that's too punishing. Like, oh, I could take, but he would take and check and fork. You don't want to go back like that because then it's still up to him to take. It opens up the escape path and it prevents the knight from coming in, so that seems to be good. That's not something I normally do as part of this line, but now you're in some dark ocean position, as Ding would call it, like you know, just something uncertain, and I'm out of my prep. That term is amazing. Those are my 2 favorite chess terms. Like, this is theory. Like, everything is theory. The Bong Cloud has theory, like, the best way to possibly play it. And then the second one is, like... The second one is just, like... you know, this is theory, and then it's out of my prep. Or something like, this isn't in my prep. Like, that's such an entitled thing. Like, oh, you had your whole life to study the game. 20 years some of these people spend. But now you want to complain, oh, I'm not familiar with that one. Like... The one time you see something that's not super obvious to you. I'm leaving this hanging for maybe too long, but I feel secure. And so I think I'll trade now. Because like once you're castled, that's maybe the trigger point that you should go by. Once you're castled, it's okay because then again, you don't want to do it because of this pawn, right? This is what can be so devastating. That is the scenario I was talking about where like that pawn won them the whole game. It actually came down to that in the end. So I would take, he would take, I would take, he would take, I would take, he would still take. If he takes, I could take. If he takes, I could take. There's no other way to push this guy out though. Like, it's so stupid. I hate this, whatever this is, but at least I know vaguely how to do it. Come on, this game isn't as important to him as it is to me, so that shows you right there who should automatically win. What you fight for isn't as important as what you fight with. And then a character comes back, one of my RP stories, like, actually, what you fight with is far more important. And then he holds up, like, what the enemy is using, which is, like, some very advanced thing. Okay, so this is fine, I guess. Like, I even just said why I shouldn't do it, but you could do this and just let it be. Then we have a bit of a nightmare position where, okay. Like, I don't like it, but I don't know what to do, so. If he takes, I could take if he goes. You're gonna trap the knight, isn't it? Because if you go, you can't go back. You can unironically probably trap the knight. If you just raise the pawn, then I can't go back, can't go forward. Look how I just walk myself into that. Cover with the pawn, but it doesn't really do what it's meant to do. I guess it's fine now, though, because you could always go back. Now, if he does this, I do this, but then I can't escape because he could go like this. Then again, he could go like this. And then, yeah, I unironically can't escape. Anyway. Now he could take. Wait, what? All part of his plan? This is the downside of the knight, though. If it was any other piece besides a knight, this is good, but it's not. You're opposing a fork, though, so if he chooses not to take and be all cheeky, then I could take and check and take. Yeah, the natural move is, of course, go to c3 and come behind. I'm almost trolling, like, as if people are watching me. Sometimes people were doing that, but you shouldn't need that kind of help. Or, yeah, that's only bad karma. You can't say, oh, you only won those games because people were stream sniping you and doing what you said. And, of course, what you said was bad, even though I might be doing it to troll, or I might be just self-trolling by not knowing that it's not good. But then it's their fault for doing that in the first place, so... I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't just trade there. I don't see the problem. Gotta be careful with the pawns on the queen side here. Unfortunately, these games are giving lower and lower gains. Like, I'm used to WoW. We're playing a 1660, so of course, you give me like 10 rating, but that's no longer the case because we're so much higher. Not like higher than him, but just higher than I'm used to being. Try to do some cheeky little uncover, unleash thing. I don't need to do anything above and beyond with the queen. Or just in general, I don't need to do anything crazy. Pawn is kind of isolated, but my pieces are too undeveloped, so I really don't have to worry about it too much. Just got to be very careful. And you can certainly get the pawn structure that I desire. I was almost thinking of going here, but you shouldn't, or maybe you should. No, but you want to anchor it in such a way that... Did you know anchor is also a term to do with psychology and like NLP, like where you anchor a suggestion like to an object or something. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but being psychology tidbit of the day. This one is unfortunate. You can put the knight kind of wherever you want, and it's going to be safe no matter what you do. Or maybe not. Good excuse to move the knight. I really want to develop the bishop, but there's no clean way to do it. This is where I want this pawn to be. In fact, this is the anchor pawn. The worst thing you should be able to do with that is just like double stack the pawns and such. You gotta watch the threats. The board feels nice and open, so everything is clear to me. Maybe there is something to that. Like where the one GM whose name I can't remember, he kind of shrunk down the size of the board. And the reason why he did it was it's like easier somehow for him to calculate or whatever. This is not actually where I want it to go. If you go here, I could take, he could take. Gonna lose to an aesthetic pawn structure. This is cute once again, but it's gonna end badly somehow. These are the moves that are always blunders for me because they're like, I want to trade, but then I'll open myself up to something. But like what? See, it's not a move with a good sense of purpose. It's a move with a bloodlust to trade. That's all it is. Which is in fact how you know it's a bad move. Once again, similar scenario. If he doesn't take, then I could double take. What does this do? Nothing. Gotta be sure there's no other. No other contingency. That's always a good word for chess. There's too many contingencies with this position or with this move, so just second guess it. You'll still be covering there, actually. Really have to figure out that thing, like. What is this pawn structure? Because it doesn't match with the light square bishop, so. That's a good move to get this guy out, for sure. Very interesting move. It's a very important pawn too, so. Kind of a big mistake. Here he could split the pawn and then still do it. So I didn't really think of that, or I was just being lazy like in general and just desiring more trades, always more trades. He could really, really not be in such a bad spot if he just does this. Some of these pawns are going to be impossible to cover for. Development of the bishop is bad, but see how much I was trying to acquiesce to that pawn structure. This was the kind of game where you just shouldn't have bothered doing it. You should almost try to trade that one, like. For now, he almost gives it back to me because he would take, and come like this. If he comes like this, I come like this. He takes. He takes. You have to be able to cover both. If he comes like this, well, first of all, I can't do it. This is a natural move that you would make. And there's no way that I can actually stop it besides maybe coming here. I expect the light square bishop to come into play here. That's fine. It's really hurting its development even more now. Can't take there. And my lust to trade, at least if the trade had worked out, that'd be different, but I still can't do it because I can't move this pawn. At least now we don't have to worry about pretending to cover that one thing. It is just a sense of impatience and a lack of respect for the game, but I just kind of, or a lack of respect for the opponent too. I even just let him potentially open the king by doing that trade, but he declined to do it. Fight the move. This is an interesting thing that we have here. He would take... He would take, I would take, he would take, I would still take, but he'll mess it up somehow. Light square bishop actually can't come out, but this one's in question maybe a little bit. Wouldn't mind just having a trade of any and all of these pieces. But again, maybe I overestimate my advantage too. Like, oh, I'm only +2 at that point. And then I give up a +1 just to, you know, just to try to trade. Like, it's not worth it. Or even if I do this, he could double take, so... Double tagging this, you don't really need both covers even, per se. You can almost double stack, so if he does take, then I could take there. You can try to do it from there. Comes like this, I can't even put the queen there necessarily. There'd be an interesting notion of doing this just to try to push it out, but it wouldn't really work too well. This is fascinating because of the attack with the bishop, but you can't actually do it. This is an awkward spot. Can't do this because he'll double take still. Might allow you to take like this, but I'm not entirely convinced by that being good either. Like, yeah, if you want to really dance around, we might well be able to trap it. Temporary coffee, good name. Yeah, this might be like the top. I like how quickly they go in and out too. The long form postulate is not with you, my friend. Like, whether it's good or not, that's like when I upload a long 5-hour video and the average view time of like 50 people is like, oh, 10 seconds. Like, maybe I'm just that bad that I, you know, my content is so bad. But the reality is that you wouldn't know one way or another. Can't take. Take. Just go ahead, try to take the thing, move the bishop, triple attack. Back to the +2, but that bishop threat is still pretty scary. Running both rooks. Sometimes, yeah, maybe that is. Don't even say anything, just in case. I don't know to what extent people are doing that. Some people will even volunteer that they're doing it, so it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, we'll be gaining so much rating that we'll be put on the front page of this shit too. We'll be the top slot. The classical is actually a realistic objective. I could be the top classical player on the site because you would only have to be 2300 feet or something like that, which is still good, but you know, it's nothing like being the top bullet player, which would mean you'd have to be like 2800 like Magnus or Alreza or whatever, who's not even 28. Nobody's 28 now, which is surprising. They've all been 28 in their careers, but everybody at their peak is 28 and then they decline to 27. But Magnus is 2880 and then he declines to 2830 in his, you know, older years, which I guess he has passed his prime now still, but he's still obviously Magnus. Why the conundrum he finds himself in, to which I'm sure he'll find an easy answer out. Or maybe not. Rematch offer sent. I could farm you for thing, but I tend to not do that out of a sense of honor. So literally it could take one more game, but I almost don't want it to, because I don't want it to be such a high level matchup that it would require that, right, to give me 8. So it could take 2. So here's a little favor the website could do me now. Give me 2 provisional 1500 opponents or something that just give me like 4 each and make this easy for me, dude. Please. Please. This is like a soundbite always in my mind, where she's about to give up because she's infected and it's like he's trying to save her. The way she said it is awesome. Just make this easy for me. Just let me die, basically. If there was a plot choice to try to save her, I totally would have still tried to do it. Like, you just knock her out and drag her along with you, and then eventually she'll turn later, but... yeah, don't take the free pawn. Just to go there, go there. Well, whatever. I didn't get punished for it. It's hard, man. I don't know what to say. It is difficult. This is a difficult experience in my life, and I never would have thought we'd be back doing this, but if you're going to do it, you got to do it all the way through. This is the perfect game, actually, for me, because this is what it's about. Like, you'll never run out of things to learn with it, but... there's just something, I don't know. But look at that 6 sequence where he just... it looked like he gave up the queen, but of course he knows exactly what he's doing. I find this stuff so farcical, though. Do you really think that... yeah, see, only 2,000. I'll be there pretty soon. So I'm a little bit annoyed because it's going to be hard to get that. Like, I'd rather accept that I have to do 2 more than to have to go against some heavyweight opponent, because if you do the math of it, like, we just played a 1660 and he only gave us 6. So how would I know who's going to give me more than that? Even a 1680 only gave me 6. So how are you going to explain that? Wait, what? Or both of these guys seemed Indian, for whatever that's worth. Maybe it's that sort of time zone, actually, that you would be playing them. We're going to farm them. Much respect for Anand, but this is not the time to be messing with me. He's so ubiquitous with Indian chess. Like, nobody else even comes to mind except Gukesh is going to be amazing. How to prepare for an over-the-board tournament. Just study for 20 years and get to 2,000 plus online, and then you'll feel secure. It would be such a fun thing doing that, but I think I would get impatient with the incredibly long games, like 90-minute game, even as much as that should make me a Super Saiyan. Like, this isn't even my final form. I get substantially better, even compared to other people, the longer I have. And so therefore, I have to just, you know, have the patience to actually use it. I have the good honor of not aborting, so maybe I earned the right to do it, like the Crazy Dave challenge where I didn't use any other I didn't get to choose the plants all the way there, so I had 3 lifelines, but I still won't do it. Never less enthusiastic than when I'm actually taking it super seriously, so this is what we're gonna have to do. The better you get, the worse, or the better you play even in a moment. The less fun you have, the less you can just hear it in my voice. Like I'm not. Just focus. It's actually stressful. I don't know what to say, man. I've been through a lot with this game, so just let me have this moment. Just one time. He's at the pinnacle himself. Don't go too fast. Yeah, see, all these names always sound Indian, not to generalize or I don't even know, but just you could go here or you could go there. If you go there, the worst case is the pin down should still occur. Like, the pin down should still occur for all intents and purposes. In the event that he goes there, we go there, but then he takes, but then I raise. Then I raise, and then I raise, and then I raise, like raise. So then it's actually okay, I guess, according to the sort of general theory of it, maybe. That little sideways V shape. Whenever the pawns are in a V, it's good. Unless it's an upside down V, then it can be bad, because then you have the opposite problem, where you have like multiple anchors instead of just one anchor. Yeah, Deepak is an Indian name, although it's more usually spelled like D-E-E-P-A-K. Let's see. We'd go like this, actually. This is one of those pawn structures that I'm not generally comfortable with. And I don't know. You technically don't have to do anything here, necessarily, but... Now, doesn't this automatically make it uncomfortable? Like, how would you stop me from doing it now? Haven't you already played into the fried liver? What could you possibly do? What could you possibly do about it? I would take, you would raise. I'm so bothered by this that actually I don't like that diagonal, but there's not much we can do about it. And I don't like this pawn structure either. Like, because yeah, even if you get this V shape, isn't that gonna fuck up the isn't that gonna mess up the bishops later on? Yeah, you'll be blocking this one. Just take our time. It's a natural developing move to make, but we're doing that to stop the pin down, which has nothing to do with what I was just worrying about, where he's going to go for some crazy offensive thing. It's actually still okay, and I don't have to castle yet necessarily. Going to do something that plays right into the fried liver, but the problem is this push still doesn't allow it. Right, like other than that, he actually can't stop it because his pieces are so undeveloped. You go like this, and then he goes like this, and then what do I do? You take. You could put it here, but then you still aren't solving the problem of this one. The problem in this game might be the simple fact that you're not going to be able to trade off a bishop necessarily to do this. Man, it's just this one that messes you over. You could totally still do it. I'm too obsessed over this stupid thing that's not going to work. You get the fork or you get the check. Still can't necessarily displace the bishop. Would there not be something that opens up if I'm here and he's there? What would open up? You go there, which doesn't do anything. Get yourself trapped. Wait, but he won't raise that one. He'll raise this one. Like, if I go here, I go... He goes there. I would take... He would have too many options to be able to take. I shouldn't bother trying to do it. He might be trying to trap the bishop, in which case I can do this. I don't know how to do this besides that, so... It's okay, I guess. Like, it's not that bad to have a double stacked pawn, but I just don't like it. And he's still not even doing it. Okay, now he does it early, so what does that mean? If you do this to open up the dark square bishop, does that still stay consistent with the V shape? Like, you kind of want it more like this, I feel like. You go here, he goes there, 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 raise it. I'm being very slow on developing the dark square bishop, which I don't like. You come there now, I would take, he would take, I would take, he would take, I would still take. Not the greatest development, but I can accept it. I mean, by him. Gotta be very careful. It's interesting that he's choosing not to do that. You kind of pull away from the edge of the board just because the center is so valuable. And then this one potentially becomes a liability, but maybe it doesn't. Because you can do like that. This is a cute spot for it to go, but it can't even go there now. You can raise this and then take, but moreover, well, you kind of have to do it like that. You'd attack this. This is sort of the V shape that we're thinking about, at least. Stay calm, stay focused, don't do anything crazy. This seems unnatural, but it would maybe be consistent with the V shape that we get later. Like, I would take, he would take, or he would take, I would take, and then he would take. Wait, but then I won't be able to cover it because I already committed to the other side. And the problem is I can't even move this at all then. Or I can do like this and then do this, and then he does this and then I do this, and then he does this and then I do this. You really do want the dark square bishop to be there. Comes there, he attacks the light square bishop, which is not the concern right now. I guess I could just leave it here and not worry about it for the time being, but what if we just put the queen there? Comes like this, though. I think maybe for the time being this is okay. You could always reorient it to that side, but a double attack could be pretty scary. There's still some kind of shenanigans I can do in that. It doesn't seem like, though. This would be sort of the double diagonal trap, like take, then that. Kind of what I was trying to do anyway, like with this. Or wait, I don't even need to do that now, though. Wait, but if I go here, he would take, I would take, he would still take. Don't try a beginner's trap in an expert level game like this. 556 games, as if he would fall for something like that. I don't know what I'm doing with these pawns, but you almost want something there then. Very claustrophobic position that I'm creating. Take, I could still take. That is a very annoying bishop spot, I will acknowledge. His pawns are kind of in a weird, crooked, you know, diagonal here. That's not ideal. Sometimes they end up that way because of certain pressures they're putting, but he's kind of done it to himself, you know. You could still actually do it just because I'm lazy and I can't come up with a decent threat, but it's all right. Like, we could have done that too. So he takes, I take, he takes, I still take. And having this be a split pawn, I guess, is part of the point. But then again, I'm under the assumption that you would be able to... You could block, but then I don't have to take. Oh, but then again, the knight's not even there anymore to be able to punish that. That was actually the better of the bishops, so maybe that wasn't the best choice, but... I have to figure out a way to explode these pawns in a more desirable way. This pawn structure is all wrong, considering... You know, just considering the fact that you don't have the connections that you'd really want. This pawn is just on an island. I don't know what the point of it is. You'd almost be better off taking with the rook. You take with the rook, and then you put this here, and then you put this there. Or you could do it like this. And oh, that's actually good because... Yeah, then you can guarantee the anchor on this. And then that'll cover both. I would take, he would, wait. I would take, he would take, I would still take. Not that I'll necessarily be able to keep it there, but I can't turn that down necessarily. If he comes there, he'll attack it. Comes there, he'll attack it. But either way, I'm fine with losing that particular pawn. It's just a question of, you know... You could do this to stop it from coming in there. You could not do much to stop it from coming in there. Maybe that was a little overly ambitious. Or at the very least, you could decide, like, which one you really want to take here. Like, if he goes there, I could take. If he goes there, I could take. But he will take this regardless. As long as he can't do some kind of crazy threat with the knight, I should be fine. Either you move the knight or you leave the pawn where it is. The knight could still actually threaten the bishop, but again, you can accept the fact that the one pawn is not going to be saved. Right, this at some point is going to be lost, but this one, I don't. I mean, technically my knight does cover for that, but I'm not too happy about it. Yeah, do it, do it. You could technically take this now. And you would still cover that. I had to be very careful about this potential fork position, though. I'll just move the queen. I could double stack. The knight protects against it for a little while, but let's see what kind of cheeky threat he's going to try to pose. The queen can't come inside very easily on this side of the board. This gives me a heart attack, just like he'll do something weird, but there's only so much material with which you could do that, so there's no reason to really do that. We double stack. He would take, I would take, but then he would, of course, take. So it opens up weird stuff like that. But he can't do it because then he would take. If he checks, I take. If he takes, I take. If he takes, I could double take. Checks, he takes. Just focus. E2 is a check, but it's covered by the knight. You got to address this rook situation, because if he doesn't address it, then you know, I could double take, or he could easily just move and not do this. Let's see what he comes up with. He hasn't used nearly as much time as me. Don't count on a big mistake, but also don't make a big mistake. It is so much by attrition, just like, and that's often what chess comes down to, is like, either at the very low level or the very high level, it'll be like, okay. Temptation is, of course, to trade. Because now he would double take. He would certainly double take. Taking the pawn is the least of my concern. Okay, that's fine. You bring this to the open file still. Or wait, now that doesn't work as well. This still needs a cover. This needs a cover. You do it like this to try to involve it. Check. I don't want to rely on this knight so much. See what kind of threats he's posing. This pawn does prevent a very weak link of a position that I don't like here on A3. That I do have to question. Like, it's passed, but it's very hard to do anything with it. Gonna be able to double stack. Like, I'm gonna have to put all my attention just on that. It's like a good problem to have, but it is still difficult. To give up whatever vague check threat I was thinking about with that. That could have been cool, but it would have still led to a trade because he would have gone like this. Isn't that so much easier to say than knight C2, knight A1? Like, you're so smart, you know notation. Good way to see stream delay too. Like, it says 7 on mine, but it says 10 on there, so it's like 3 seconds maybe. Not that it really matters. Like, once you get used to it, it's just. But if people are typing in chat like super fast, then it seems sometimes a little bit confusing. I think that's just a natural, like, not really on my end. Be interesting to see what I want to do with my knight. It would be very interesting. You could almost just push the pawn, but at some point this is going to become more trouble than it's worth. Could bring the rook there. You could certainly do that. It's something the knight's going to do that's going to mess me over. It's going to be an interesting sequence where he then goes there. Like, he'll threaten. The knight almost doesn't even need to be there, but if it's not, then I gladly trade it. It's going to be a little inconvenient to cover, maybe. It might have been better. Just move the chains, as they say, and do this. Now you have a triple cover, but it's very hard to visualize how you're going to do this without messing something still up. He can't go there. 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 He could go there. He only has one square to go with the knight. Not that he has to move it, and it's not even an octopus knight, but moving the C3 pawn, C2 pawn is going to be confusing. Because what moving the chains like that will do is it will allow you to cover with this, and then you could still cover with this, but then you can't cover, I don't know. That's the natural move that I thought you might make. The difference is that if you go here, right, you go here, but you can't do that because I would take, right, how do you cover that at the same time as threatening this? You come like this, and then you do it, but then I take. Can't do the simple rook to b8, and I don't see a way to combine the two effectively enough. Right, if you want to maintain the dark square threat, I can't even talk. Or yeah, like play on a holiday or something when you won't expect the better players to be playing, or you can always kind of game the system for that. If you play this right, you can do it, but that's the thing. It's very hard, especially involving the knight. Although, to be fair, the bishop wouldn't be that intuitive here either. It would cover like one spot down the board, but it wouldn't be every step of the way. he does move the knight, to which he'd only really have one spot to go, we'd have this thing called an unleash. But this is the problem with the knight as a piece, is that it doesn't work. That's kind of the problem with it. And the reason why it doesn't work is because it would still not be able to do anything. But because the knight is so locked down, why not just keep going and just try to force some action? I don't see what the downside of this could be. If he comes like this, I could just take. Now, even better, because you can check. And so you would take, I would take, you would take, I would still take. That frees up the queen a little bit, but then you still have to worry about the threat on there. They locked in every move, every step of the way. I mean, I would take the trade any day, dude. But the reason why he wants to do it is because he would get the threat on the knight, and the threat on the knight would turn into an attack on the pawn. Nothing changes with this. The knight cannot do anything. The knight, you know, if I do this, he would take, I would take, he would take, I would still take. The going here should be acceptable, and the reason why is because then I could take, then he could take, then I could move, but then he can't take. But then he still could, but he'd be switching out for the other pawn. Gotta double check it. It is sometimes better. Like, I can't really, or people will think, oh, you're so slow at calculating, but it's actually like I'm only saying certain things that I'm doing. But my desire to trade is not so great that I wouldn't do that, but now I will do it if he lets me, because now the threat isn't as significant. I would take, you would take, I would move, you can't take, you can't take. You have to double attack with that, which could easily go bad because of how annoying the knight can be to cover with. Like, if his knight might attack it before my knight can cover it, and then there's nothing I can do, but then again, you can, because you can always keep going. Don't lose like one dinky pawn, because every pawn matters. It's hard to think like that. Like, it's so easy to get lax, especially as the game drags on. But you're not up by that much, if anything. This is still very drawable, probably. Although this pass pawn looks like something, it's just not that big of a deal. You have to kind of just, you know, move the... Literally, move the chains, like they say in American football. Confusing term, because obviously it's soccer. But, no, like, you have to just somehow keep making this happen. You can do this, like... Okay, now I'll gladly trade. You can do this, and the reason why you can do it is because he would take, I would take, he would, it doesn't matter. I would take, he would take, I could move, he could take, no. I don't see what the rook move changes. Okay, I take, you take, and then what? You try to double attack this, but you can't. You try to take, but you can't. You try to check, but you can't. It's not a passed pawn in the process. It's not a passed pawn. Right? And it won't become one necessarily. In fact, it's very split and not great. The biggest thing is don't let him double attack something with the thing here. And he might very well be able to do that very easily. Maybe that was all part of his master plan. If you go here, he would take. So that I cannot allow. Is there some two-move sequence with the horse that would actually be nice for this? And this is probably the answer to my troubles. But then you'd be good to go. if you go here and then there. Any other sequence of moves doesn't really make sense. Right? Because this is what he's going to come for. He's going to come for this. If he comes there, I could take and get a free thing. Take. You're saving the threat and you're also covering. He could check now, but it doesn't seem to really do much of anything. Or he would reposition to there. But he wouldn't be able to with me being here for now. He's almost doing some fake threat that like, oh, he could do this, but then I take. It's still fine. It's always the ruin everything. If it was just rooks, this position looks relatively simple, but then again, it's just not. See, the way you would promote would not be, oh my goodness, just move the pawn. The way you would do it is like some crazy kind of thing involving the other pawns. Okay, so we accounted for that. What's the worst case? Like, okay, he moves it up. I take. He takes. He checks. I move. Like, you keep the king kind of out of it, sure, but... Check, it's fine. You take, I take. You take, I still take. Move, I could take. You could still take back, which might actually be fine for you to do. There's no scenario where you wouldn't take. I don't want to try to overdo it and push with the thing. I would love to bring the king in, but I can't figure out exactly what the right timing of doing it is. It probably is definitely now. Wait, what? Okay, I thought he might do that, but there's very limited moves you can make. You should try to inch it towards it, as long as we're not going to get checked again. So we go here. If he goes there, he's attacking the rook. I move it. I can take it. He goes there. He goes there. Goes back to where he was. Like, I don't see anything, but... The check fork would happen if I'm here or there, so don't do that. Now again, let's reassess the moves. I'm going to move the rook to here. So he goes there. It's actually awkward, but I can take. He goes there, it's fine. 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 There, it's fine. Shouldn't need the mouse even as a visual aid, but... There's nothing too scary that he can do, but you got to be careful for the fork. But I don't even see a way he can give a check necessarily right now. But he takes the pawn. I take the pawn. I threaten. Could have gone back, I guess, and tried to still do it, but... Maybe me being a bit lazy. This still covers there, so you have to kind of pick your poison a little bit. Giving up a pass pawn for a non-pass pawn, so it's just too much. It's gonna be too much. Weird. You can go here and then what? I could cover it with the knight. If he moves this up, take. I could go like this, but then we're not able to cover there very effectively, am I? This would be the whole point of the position. Like, you go here to allow for there. But if you do that... I would take, he would take, or he could even still take... Not trying to use it necessarily offensively, but I gotta hurry up a little bit. It still takes, so that's the point. You have to address the inability to take. Unfortunately, the knight here is really, really annoying. I can't figure out how to deal with it. So I guess I'll just lose the pawn at least, but that's fine. I can still equalize. I just have to not lose on time, I guess. Trying to preempt that even more, which maybe that was a mistake or maybe not. You'd always reinforce this even more. So you take, you... Okay. If I take here, it's no good. If I go here, you go down, I take, you take, and then I can't cover it. So what is it that I'm missing here that's not going to work? If I go here, let's be patient. I go here, you go there. Take, can't do anything. Check. You go here, then he goes there. Then you go... Then you can't go there. But you could go there. I don't know. Part of what I'm trying to do is basically just, you can offer up the trade, and then even if he takes, I still take. So that could be difficult for you to deal with, since this knight is literally a statue, immobile object, most inactive knight in the history of chess. Not that it's not still doing work, but my god. Would I even want to do that? I feel like I don't. Maybe that would allow him to do something annoying there. It's amazing, some of the stuff I do, man. I mean, I still want to get rid of it, but I can't believe sometimes. Still not that big of a deal, but let's see. Now you go straight for this, and so if you raise, I take, but then you have a passed pawn, so I don't know what to do. If you raise, I take. Wait, I take, but then you don't take. The king is close enough, but I can't decide. Maybe this is better because you just want to get back on track, but I can always do it where I move it over. So let me guess. He's going to promote. If you do this, then you deserve it. Like, I'll give it to you, dude. It'd be drawable at worst by either of us. The king can certainly come here, but... So you got to make up your mind. Like, if you want to do... Or I can keep pushing, then he's forced to move. Then I can guarantee the take. But... Unfortunately, the king is not as active. That was kind of a genius thing to do. That horse looks kind of dead in the water finally, but... It's not a seahorse. Ha ha ha. So if you put that sort of pressure on him, then he's forced to try to do this. Then, if he raises, I could take. But the real ideal thing is to come in with the king, but it's actually impossible to do that. That's the thing. It is actually impossible to come in with the king. Or go like this, and then this, and then this. That might actually be the answer. I have really, really strange. I should have maybe tried to race it a little better. I don't know. Assuming he takes the 1. He's gonna go there. Too bad, man. It's too bad. You try to reorient the whole structure, but that could get me in trouble. I'll still do it though. You would take, I would take. Don't have a ton of time, but he won't necessarily be able to catch up, but he will be able to stop it with the rook, and therefore my efforts are for nothing. Then again, he kind of has to choose, doesn't he? Like, as long as he has to give up one of these, then I'm fine with it too. You give up this, you have to basically block it. There's nothing else to it. Now you would have to bring in the king as well, which I find kind of interesting. I have my king there to defend as well. That's kind of a brazen, ballsy way to do it, but if I go here, now the king gets away, and then I take it for free. How about that? How about that? Finally, after all that waiting, look at what I got. But not necessarily, because it's still not covered. Holy shit, dude. Or it will be covered. You attack, I do this, then you could take, but then I feel maybe a little better, or it'll still be a draw. Like somehow my pawn structure is going to turn out worse, but maybe a way to win this. I'm going to mess up the endgame with the thing. Take, take, take. You could easily take this. There's nothing to think about there. But whether you can protect this or not, I don't know. You should be able to, but who knows? It is me that we're talking about. Takes, takes. Like my king can sort of, whatever, just stop him from coming to this side of the field. We need that soccer thing. So many soccer references that Wormius made. That was so good. It's almost like the duck chess thing, but it's not like a win condition. In soccer, it's like if you get a goal or whatever, if you get the soccer ball to the back rank, basically like if you got the duck to the back rank, you would be able to, you know, win the game. You would think the trade would be intrinsic to what he is trying to do. I don't see why you wouldn't do it. Now he'll try to protect this, which is absurd. Think about the implications. He comes to cover, I come to here. He takes, I take, he takes, and then I should win on this, and then he can't do anything with that. Problem with this is it's so annoying because you can't do anything with it. Like, you'll never be able to move it. You go ahead and you do that cover, dude. You do it. You go ahead, you take, hooray, and then you can't promote, and then I promote. You want to take this first, then I just take. Now we have a pass pawn here, which doesn't mean this is a guaranteed sure thing, but I don't mind my king's position, so we just have to think carefully. Don't try to get too ambitious on the other side. Basically, the king's movement is more important than anything else right now. Right, you got to keep this connected. If he takes, it's fine. He's not going to be able to go all the way out to the side of the board there, so just... really only one passed pawn, but because you're up 2 pawns overall, it should be pretty clear. Let's see. I don't think that's necessarily a bad check, but then he comes up like this, let's say. More important to lead with the king. If the king doesn't lead, how can he expect his subordinates to follow? Yeah, now you can just push this by attrition. If he does anything with his pawns, it's generally pretty bad. You lose by the move rule, where you just have to move something. Yeah, that's fine. Doesn't change the fact that you still only have 1 passed pawn, but it should be very straightforward. You check now. You keep putting him back, pushing him back. You see, these are already pushing him back. So yeah, just use the king to do it. Don't give a stalemate. Still have 4 minutes to do it. This isn't going to be like the Roblox time. Whenever I play chess on some other platform, it always messes me over. Let's do this one still. He can't go inside. Can't go. So you want to do this trade just so you have these two connected. In fact, that would be good. Oh, no, he can't go there, though. And maybe I have my questions about it, but either you take or I could take, or I could even just keep going and try to do it with those two alone. Maybe that's not the best idea, but you could kind of play around and just move these pawns for a bit and try to waste time, but to be the man, you got to beat the man, but it won't give me 8, I bet, because most of these haven't been. Come on, it should, though. Okay, we can do it like this. The problem is I have that kind of same move rule issue, right? Like, don't let him take that. He's going to slip us to the other side of the board, but it should be okay. Yeah, at some point you're going to have to just move something else. Okay. If we win one more against anybody, so give me like a 1500 joke, provisional, anything. I don't abort games. I don't do rematches. I don't do ranked games against viewers. I don't study the game. Like, you play a rigged game in life if you're me, but you still win. That's the thing. That's what means so much about it. Anybody can study. Anybody can read a book. It just couldn't be me. One more, dude. One more. Or quite frankly, you could get a draw against certain people, but that often just gives you 1 as a baseline. Like, even if it is a much higher rated player, you could give me a provisional now. Provisional 1500 on their way to becoming a GM. Some GM who doesn't have an account, making their account for the first time. Yeah, they don't say that, oh, you only got it because it was Father's Day or some whatever bullshit. Okay, last one. I'm certainly no chicken. And yeah, why are they calling it a chicken? So you're calling Magnus and every GM ever a chicken. Magnus played like a chicken in the World Chess Championship every time because he would always get draws and then win in the tiebreak or whatever. Like, the majority of his games would end in draws. Wandering Hermit, over 2,000 games. But yeah, if he gave me some kind of benefit for every abort, like even give me +1 and then -1. Forget about the ban thing. Like, they shouldn't, you know, they shouldn't suffer that. Like, I would have gotten I'd be like a 2,000 by now with all the aborts I got. I don't know whether it's because I'm streaming, but even before I had that banner showing that, he'll think, oh, I'm some try-hard player because of that. Like, give me 2 rating for that. Give me 2. Could make for a more favorable matchup. Now it shouldn't almost matter. I almost want somebody lower. Like, give me the benefit of doubt, dude. I've seen enough of this. Just one time, give me an easy matchup. One time for me, dude. One time in my life, in my chess life, please. There'll be a scenario where you're a big streamer and they'll do that because they'll somehow do it from the back door. Like, oh, we don't want this guy to stop using our site and delete his account. Not that that's even necessarily the condition, but sometimes you wish it was. Like with Hearthstone, if I don't get to Legend that 1 month that I'm trying to, and I just did it despite everything against me, that the imp deck's not good enough. Quite impressive, wasn't it? No excuses, doesn't matter what time of day, doesn't matter what matchup, what rating, like Floyd Mayweather says, right? I'll beat anybody you put in front of me, it doesn't matter. They could be washed up, they could be in their prime, they could be because he's undefeated, even though he's technically not undefeated because Jose Luis Castillo beat him. Okay, I'll take it. In before it gives me 1 or something. Why is my headphone like coming off? So you're doing the traditional thing. In the worst case, you get the little take into the V-shape weird thing. You don't necessarily have to do that. This in itself is unusual. And so if you go here, it's no good. And I think I'm generally inclined to take, but it doesn't mean I like to do it. Okay, this is still fine, and the reason why it's fine is because you can do like this. I never used to like this because it's like, oh no, he's going to open the king theoretically, but I guess in theory, you're not going to have that happen, I guess. You can come back and do the bishop stagger if I'm really worried about this. Like, this isn't the priority, and even then, he can't even still take it. So this would really force his hand to give up this cheeky threat. If you do this, you're forced to castle. A little bit of a gambit play. Theatricality and deception are powerful agents. I think you should probably castle anyway, but there is a great temptation to do this. Just because I don't want to leave this position hanging like that. Like, what could be the downside of castling, though? Like, you're not going to be able to bring more threats than you already have. Like, either just do it or don't. You can still do the 6 for 6. You could do this. So then he would take, I would take, he would take, I would take, he would take, I would still take. So even as it sits now, I still don't need the queen's cover. I'm very tempted to do the bishop stagger thing. It's sort of my own term that I just invented, but, or I've used like for so long with whenever I do that. It's not really the right position for it, but basically a way to stop the fried liver without having to put the, without having to develop it actually properly as you're supposed to do. Focus every step of the way. I don't care about this pawn that much. If he takes it back, it's fine, right? It's one of those gambit pawns that doesn't always work. Like if you try too hard to protect it, it'll end up hurting you. So the problem with this is you want to raise this and you want to get this there, but it's a concern because one of the things that can happen is he moves this back and then you're free to do this. But then I do this. But then he does this. But the bishop's already there. Or I don't even need the knight to be there at all, but you'll use this to even add more pressure, I guess. You got to do it in such a way that you're just going to trade. That's really all you have to do. Just trade something. Right, because what's going to happen is the knight's going to ruin it. Right, you go here, he goes back, and then you take, and I can't protect. Unbelievable. The knight has nowhere to go. Too bad. You don't even need the knight's cover. That's the thing. You don't even need it, but it just gets in the way. Look at that. You can do this. You also offer another cover, but then you would take into a fork. You almost should just take, because despite the level of development it might give you, it would allow you to, you know, sort of equalize the pawn that you weren't really planning to protect in the first place. If he takes, I could still take it, though, is kind of the point. Huh, I don't know. What if I go here now? Also covering. Seems like a good move, actually. You don't need the stagger. You can just leave it there forever, I guess. Because you don't even need that much cover for it now. That's the thing. What's going to happen is that knight is going to sit there till the end of time, and that's okay. And this one, look at what the knight does to me. Like, I'm not even trying to hate on it unnecessarily, but every single thing that goes wrong in the game is always because of the knight. That's a good way to test for like somebody's a psychopath, somebody's this or that. If you like the knight more than the bishop in chess, it's like a psychology exam. Something is mentally wrong with you in a, like you're Patrick Bateman or somebody, just like absolutely nuts. You could do this. No question that you could do it. You're even setting up to do this, this, this. I don't really see why that wouldn't be the case. You come like this, I could still take. Have the knight cover as well. You have the knight cover, you have the queen cover. This could be a little bit of a scary threat. Let's see if he addresses it. He does address it. But even still, I could take, take, take. Not to get too greedy. The thing is that you have more than adequate cover every step of the way. And the reason why is because even if you come in here, I don't even need the queen to come back there. You have to address the rook here. And that may be difficult because you have a case where the bishop is also under threat. Focus all the way, all the way. Don't get overconfident. Nothing's happened yet. You've done nothing yet. It'll be positive self-talk, positive affirmations, negative self-talk, negative affirmations. You suck. You're trash. The site's inflated. Focus all the way. Bishop is there. Rook is there. If you can't bring the bishop to b2, otherwise I take it. He brings the queen, but then I take. The fried liver threat is weak because we have enough cover even without the knight. The knight's only there because it gets in the way and it's a dog shit piece. Got plenty of time. Let's think about it. Think about it. Becomes like this. That poses an adequate threat. You take, I take. You take, I take. You take, I still take. A little bit scary just leaving it hanging like that, but technically it's okay. And yeah, this is sort of a folding thing, like where technically, yes, this is an annoying threat, but it never happens unless he... I guess if he goes back, then he could do it, but it's not like the end of the world, is what I'm saying. They focus all the way, not some of the way, all of the way. I love how this game had two credit soundtracks and they're both amazing, but that's because of the DS re-release. That's got to be one of the greatest achievements in all of gaming history. For like, they remake the game, but then they add a 5th case to it when it only had 4. It's like a detective game. And that case is longer than the rest of the game. Cases 1 through 4 combined, and it's better than the rest of the game combined. Like, they released not a re-release of the game. They literally released a new game inside the game. It was so good, dude. Rise from the Ashes is amazing. Let him think about it. Let him cook, as they say, that stupid overused meme. It almost makes it seem like Woody really says that. That like, why? You know, the image might match that sentiment, but... Take as long as you want. So do I, so I have to. Scary threat. It is a scary, scary threat. He takes, though, and I take. Takes, though, and I take. He takes, though, and I take. So just count. Just count. Take. 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 There's no other threat you can introduce to there either. I mean, I can't imagine regretting that move later on. The bishop will not be covered either, so... You attack the rook, but that's perfectly fine. And I'll even set up to do a queen thing. Right, so he takes the rook, but I take the queen. How about that? And I'm also threatening the knight, though, so if he has the gumption to do that, then we're in a position where we can just... We're in a position where we can just take that, too. But I probably wouldn't want to do that, but then he has nowhere to go in this diagonal that would maintain the threat, so... I think that's acceptable. Trading is my favorite thing to do anyway. This is still covered there. That horse has been quite interesting for me. Don't give up any kind of crazy fork. So even if he takes, I still take. So we're +5. And then we go... Uh-oh. Okay, all right. Stay right in there. That's okay. That's okay. Gonna go do the threat yet again. Okay. Let's try to actually involve the pieces a bit. This threat will go on pretty much till the end of time. Like, I don't know what the fuck to do about it. I still can't do anything about it. Trying to get the bishop out. I'm not going to worry about it too much. The pawns could be a little bit ugly. Oh my god, this guy, man. The knights are like my thorn in my side. Like, I cannot, whether it's my knight, their knight, I just can't deal with that. Like, I can't even go anywhere to be able to do, like, literally, there's nothing you can ever do. Over here, okay. So if he takes, I take. Like, he's the biggest fan of the fried liver ever. He's maintaining the threat through all this time. Like, you go here, what's the worst case? Okay, he takes a pawn extra. Take. Like, just give me a break. I'll go here, and then the knight can finally move. But guess what the crutch is in that? You can't move it, because there's nowhere to fucking move. Oh, I guess you can go here. So this side is pretty secure as far as I'm concerned. Why don't we go here, just because it opens up the ability to... It opens up the ability to move the knight, finally. Man, he wants it to be there for his whole life on this planet Earth. Okay, that's going to be fine. He won't be able to get to that necessarily. Or it makes for an interesting threat, because then the double threat becomes a factor, because the double threat becomes a factor because of the simple fact that you'd come here, but then you could just move the knight too. But then if you move the knight, he takes this. If you don't move the knight, he can double take. You could like, you could do it like this. Then he's still double tagging it. Which, again, as much as I like trades, I shouldn't do it in such a shameless fashion. So you go here, and then you can't do it either. Okay. Let's see. You could bring the rook back, because, like I said, this knight just lives there, so... If you raise it, it doesn't work, because... You know, this is going to be a double threat. I mean, it still is a double threat, but... You got to choose one thing or the other that you're going to threaten. And so it's a case where you could do something weird, but this guy and his fried liver, man. I've never seen it extended at this stage in the game. You can't move it in, but you can't push it out ever. And so that's okay, dude. That's really okay. Now, I'm thinking about maybe something with the knight. Like, is it possible to just move the knight, like, ever? Or is that just not an option? Now, you could even just try to force the trade. He would take, I would take, he would take, I would still take. It's quite possible you could end up trapping my knight. I wouldn't be surprised. After the game that we've had here, it almost seems like it's destined to happen. Just let it be freed from its purgatory, where just you're the most immobile, useless piece in the history of humanity. No reason to do that, because then you lose the cover on there, which is actually relevant, surprisingly relevant. And then once I do it, you take, I take, but then you could take. That's the thing. Right? You take. Oh, but I could take with the pawn too, so there's nothing to concern about. You get a favorable trading proposition here. You can't really back away from it. You have to take the trade with the bishop, otherwise I take. He's wanting to move the king, which is an interesting choice at this stage in the game. It's a bit premature, but he's just so happy with these locked position that take, I take. Take, I take. I mean, there's no way I'm going to give up on that. Now you can push out the knight, and the reason why is because now that diagonal is no longer covered. And so there's nowhere that you can go that's an advancing move. All you can do is go back. And that also opens a spot for my knight to go finally. Finally. So what's interesting about this is despite the advantage, we don't actually have a passed pawn, do I? But obviously this can't really hold him down if you play it properly. So the biggest factor that I'm worried about is the knights, because this could turn out to be a nightmare endgame despite maybe they just treat me this way because I always talk so much trash about them, but you should push this side and you should push it aggressively. But let me think. Just be smart, be smart. Activate the thing. Just don't leave it in a vulnerable spot. This side seems scary and all, but there's only so much you can do with it, and I don't know exactly how to approach this though still. You won't get a passed pawn out of it no matter really how you play it. These double push advances. The knight can't come into the side of the board. This does look scary, but it's maybe not as bad as you might think. Check, take, check, and then take, right? If he takes, I take and check, and then I take. Watch the pawn. Don't do a stalemate. Obviously, it can't be a stalemate because of the simple fact that you have so many pawns left there still. Let's just back off, and we should be able to secure this pawn without any question. Can't come in. You can't fork. You can't do anything with that except for maybe sack it for it. So we can cancel out a knight with a knight. Problem is coming here is a bit of a question because you're going to have a case where, you know, it's kind of hard to still cover it, I guess. He chooses to go the other way, which is interesting. Trying to take there. He takes there. I take. You check. Check, I move. Should be fine no matter what. The king is boxed out. It'd be hard for the knight to even catch up. There's a 1700. You could just hear it in my tone today, I think, that I was ready to do it. So that's it. Now I don't have to play another classical game ever. See, you deaden yourself so much that when something good happens, you don't even celebrate. That is actually legit 1700. So now we've unlocked chess.com again starting July 1st. So until July 1st, the next couple of weeks of chess will be very chill and relaxing. We just get to play rapid. Like I'm a man of my word, despite whatever clown behavior I might do. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. No matter how unfair, no matter how stupid it might be. Top 6,600. Yeah, that was unironically difficult to do, though. Even if not chess-wise, because I'm not a study Andy. Psychologically, that was very difficult because it's just so exhausting. These 30-minute games are a lot, man. To play so many back-to-back. I'm validated at long last. Like that's the challenge. Try to get to 1,700 over 500 games here without studying the game of chess. It's basically fucking impossible. And people who say, oh, well, haha, this GM could do it. They would study the shit out of it, though. I don't even believe it. Little kid, 5 years old, studying for 2 years. There's something to this that I enjoy so much. You're doing it the hard way. Anybody can do it the easy way. It's like cheating in an overextended sense, right? To study. Look at that. Look at that. It's perfect. You're perfect. Two inaccuracies is fine. But now I can study as much as I want. That's like a deflating way to end it. Now I'll study like crazy because that's all I wanted to see. That was a good, validating moment, and then that's it. Like, now I'm not going to play a classical game. Well, I don't want to fall out of the ranking, but actually I won't. What we want to do is get this up to 16. So that'll be my project for next week and the week after. I don't have to do that, but I should be able to. Like, I like to keep it within 100 of that just for principle. I mean, I should try to get to 17, but I like these days where I push for it. Like, you go 5-1, you go to get to 1650, you go 6-1 to get from 1620 when I fell off back to 1680, then you go four in a row. Like, you just got to do it. Wait, why? How is it 4 in a row if it's maybe not showing that yet? There's something more to it than just, yeah, sure, some matchups are lucky, unlucky, some matchups are gifts, provisional, 1800, high level players. It's all mixed in there, but you just have to stay constant. Wait. Oh, obviously, it's like, oh, you won every game. It's just only showing the wins. What was my record, though, overall, then? If this was loss, win, so 1-1, 1-2, 2-2, 3-2, 4-2, 5-2. Every time, man. Every time I doubt myself, even. Like that Pokemon TCG Live clown show. Like, oh, this would be impossible to do tonight. I'm going to delete my account, but then I still do it. Oh, why couldn't it be 69 just for the perfect? It hasn't updated yet. It's got to be. I thought I'd be 6,900 here, which I'm even higher than that. Isn't that kind of good, though? Like, your top 6,000, sure, not as many people play it, but if you take away all the really top players, like title players and stuff, among average people, top 6,000 is pretty good. I don't mind that. And yeah, once you get to a certain level, it'll be impossible to find matches, or it'll be impossible to gain rating because you'll be at 2,400 and you'll yeah, my reward for that lovely adventure to 1,700 in Classical is now I get to play Rapid. My least favorite format of all, because it has the pretension of being good quality chess, but then it doesn't. So if you're gonna play fast, just go full hyper bullet mode, and if you're not, then you know, go with the real game, over the board tournament style. Not that they don't play faster formats at over the board, but I love that how every World Championship will come down to a tie break because they always play conservative and play for draws and stuff. See how I disprove all the people that say stuff like that too. It's the two don't have to be at odds with each other, like, as far as, you know, but you can do things without conventional thinking and you can still be successful. It just makes it harder, but somehow I find it more satisfying. Richard Rapport Jr., that could be a new nickname. Not that I'll ever be as good as him, obviously, but I respect his approach more than even people who are better than him or as great as him. There's something you can just tell, right? When somebody has a certain style that they go for. So this makes it seem maybe not that impressive, but if you look at the win streak of 4, look at the quality of these opponents. Some of them weren't that good, but he's a 1675 over 33 games. He's 11 here, so that doesn't seem that good. Okay. This one is, yeah, I guess, but see, no, he's better than me. He's better than me here. He's played 2,800 games and he's 1614. I'm not 16 and I'll struggle to get there, or I know I can get there, but 557, kind of validating, even if that's kind of deceptive a little bit. Everybody's just slow. It doesn't mean they're bad. That's it, dude. We transitioned to a rapid player because I did what I wanted to see with the classical format. That's that.